that apparently Australia is getting 200 Wendy's being built over time here.
Yo, that's great news. Wendy's is tasty.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. They don't exist.
Welcome y'all to the final part of the Darkest Dungeon skills tier list review thing. Big shouts to Spartan because he's been hanging out. Also been very patient with my scheduling, so this whole process took about 2 months. And we're gonna wrap it up today with the final, I believe, 6 characters. How you doing, man?
I'm good. It is a lovely, freezing cold winter morning here. But, yeah, I'm ready to get up to some heated debates here.
I'm super jealous because, you got a freezing winter morning and I've had blistering summer days for the last like 6 weeks, and I'm not about that.
Wonderful. So why don't we start and help me warm up by discussing the king of the desert himself, Baldwin the Leper.
Yeah, that was a good segue. That was like an S tier segue, not even A. All the way to the top, but yes, Baldwin. Baldwino. Bald only W's. I don't know what other nicknames he has, but yes.
Well, he's got 2 popular nicknames depending on how you feel about him. He's either the Bald Winner, or he's Maldwin. And, so, yeah, let's just start with Chop. We've dawdled long enough.
Yes, so with Chop and these atrocious 75 accuracies, this gave birth to Leper Miss, Leper Bad, Why Run Leper, all kinds of silly stuff, to the point where this is probably the most polarizing character in the community, where it's like, yeah, he's amazing and the best character. You put the work in. Or he's trash. Why put the work in? It's interesting to see each side of that, but I guess starting with that, we do have Chop, which nothing to write home about. Leper has a nice massive damage stat, the highest in the game, I believe.
Yeah. So the thing about Chop is that if you look at it, it is objectively, by the numbers, a bad move. It's got less crit than any other melee skill aside from like Smite, and it has less accuracy than everything else pretty much in the game, and it has kind of bad targeting. But of course, you have to look at that through the funnel of, yeah, Leper has terrible accuracy, but that's because his damage stat is the biggest in the game. So, basically, he's dealing roughly 40% more damage. So, you need to think about every skill having like an extra 40% damage or something like that, at least in comparison to other damage dealers.
True, and there are ways around the accuracy because he has skills that help deal with that, but also most of the time, unless you're running like Battle Ballad, if you are running Leper, or pretty much anyone in the game, usually you're slapping accuracy on them. Most characters just need 1, like a focus ring. Leper appreciates 2, just because of the difference. But also the frontliners have lower dodge comparatively, so his accuracy looks bad, but I don't think it's as bad as people make.
Yeah, there's another skill that we'll be talking about. One of the last skills in the game, but I just like to talk about it right now. Judgment, the skill that you see every single new player slot on the Vestal because it's such like, oh, good value, I damage and heal. That has 80 accuracy at base, so it's only 5 points better than this, and every newcomer uses that.
Oh, that's good to know. And we'll talk about Judgment later. I've got fond statements, but yeah. I guess we rate this. I mean, I feel like this is like C. I mean, it's a stock melee attack behind or on top of a really good damage stat, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I honestly think the biggest issue is what you alluded to before, was actually the crit modifier. It's not so much the accuracy, because with a damage range that big, the crits are really hard hitting. But since crits also roll max, plus like 50% damage, when you have that much variance in the damage stat, you do want to try and crit as much as possible too. So I feel like that's really important.
Yeah, the stacking crit with Leper is probably the most important, because, yeah, without any support, this can just slam an enemy in the front lines without protection for 39 points of damage, which is enough to obliterate pretty much everything. Even on Blood Moon, there are certain enemies like pelagic groupers which can just be one shot with a nice big crit. So it does good damage, but I feel like any leper skill could really do this skill's job. Like Hugh does less damage, and we'll talk about those other moves later. Has less crit, but does split damage. So yeah, I'd say Chop is basically C. It is unremarkable in every way, aside from the one factor that it uses Leper's bases, which he doesn't specifically need Chop to do that.
Fair point, but yeah, I agree. So that means that Hugh, I mean, much the similar issues in terms of, lower crit mod, 75 base accuracy, targeting. It's Chop, but it hits 2 people, and the damage is split.
Yeah, Chop is... I always think that Chop is a bit better practically. I know the argument against all AoE skills is, well, you'd rather just focus down one enemy than, finish off like deal a bit half and half. But the thing is that Hugh's damage is so large, and if you have stacked up your crit, a crit from Hugh is most likely to set an enemy to low enough health that pretty much any skill can finish them off. So it's, what I'd say, a good opening move. Unfortunately, it's on the Leper, who is the slowest of all the main damage dealers aside from Crusader. Like, he's got 4 speed at max, which is not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit clunky in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And the one thing I will say is with Hugh, because I totally agree with everything you said, so I don't really have much to add. But with Hugh, the double crit Hugh, especially if it kills both enemies, is top 3 most satisfying feelings in this entire game. It feels so amazing to double crit Hugh, and if you can pull that off, it's not as rare as you'd think. You do need some crit and a higher level leper, but when it does happen, notice.
I completely agree. One of the most controversial opinions I have about Leper is that he is very good at Shambler hunting, because if you have a low speed Leper, Shambler will most likely go before Leper, summon his little clapper claws, and then Hugh can finish them off before they get a buff after using their attacks, because he's going last usually. If he hits them, of course. And you need to get him into the front rank, which is a bit of a problem, but you kind of only need to do that once.
Yes, if you play the Shambler fight correctly, you only get shuffled on the opener. So if you're able to put him back up there, and there are ways to mitigate that. Dance moves, but also pre-shuffling your party. So if he ends up back up front, and you can just keep him there, he will control the clappers by himself. Or if Shambler finds itself up there, he can hit it pretty hard. So he is really good for Shambler hunting, even though he has that weakness to movement. But the movement in that fight is probably the easiest thing to deal with if you understand how.
Mm-hmm. Also, he's really good against Thing from the Stars, because of he can kill the crystal and hit the thing as well.
Yes. We're just talking about Hugh. We're not even talking about the entire character. So Hugh's an interesting button. I personally don't run it that much, but the times where I do put it on, it feels like it needs to be there, and it feels like it pulls weight. So I don't know if I can rate it super high though. It might still be C, just because it's chop split.
I'd say that Hugh is actually B, because while it does have a very low crit modifier, in fact it's 0 at max level, but the thing is that Leper stacks up so much extra crit that you actually have a pretty good chance of landing a crit with Hugh, which is, of course, the selling point.
Yeah, true. Alright. I mean, I can agree with B. It's weird. Yeah. I do feel like it's better than Chop, I just don't run it as much because, I'm trapped in that mindset of single target stuff down, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's solid move.
Before we move on, should we take a look at the camping skill that kind of, makes and breaks Leper? Because
Bloody Shroud?
Frankly, he has...
I'm kidding.
Yeah, let's talk about Reflection, which it just straight up fixes Leper's problems and heals his stress for just 3 times. this is probably the best camping skill in the game.
It's up there. I mean, you look at characters such as Hellion, she'll get 10 crit for 3 points. And Leper gets 2 less crit, 10 accuracy, and a huge stress heal. It's weird because in this game it feels like camp skills are so imbalanced when you compare them between characters, like what values they get and stuff. And Reflection is insane. This character gets better when he can camp, which is why he's really good at killing bosses, because he can juice himself up pretty hard and manage his own stress. So yeah, Reflection, very good. Pretty much always worth the 3 points. Like, I cannot think of a time when it's not, honestly.
Yeah, the only time is like when you finished up a mission and you just want to stress heal, but hey, he's got quarantine for that.
Yeah, he's got some other camp skills that aren't as I feel like they don't get pressed as much, but they're not bad, you know. Quarantine and let the mask down. You don't really need this one or let the mask down too much. But I mean the penalty for 5 stress, that's negligible. That's like a hallway tick. So it's pretty good value. You know, it's still positive 10. His camp skills overall are just good. Very good camp skills.
Yeah. I can simp for the Leper for days. He's my favorite character, but
understandably. I don't know if you heard in Darkest Dungeon 2, Leper is kind of like, he almost sounds like the protagonist, because in one of the Red Hook discussions, you know, Chris Tyler, whatever, they're talking about how Leper's like everyone's second favorite character in the studio or something. And then if you look at the art in DD2, everyone's got like the blue shading and stuff because they're trying to face their failures. Leper's the only person that has like gold like coming at him because he's like already at peace with his past and he's, you know, proud of what he's done. So he's definitely got big anime protagonist energy.
Such a Chad.
Whew, yeah. Character's great for a variety of reasons. And we only talked about camp skills. We were talking about combat skills. So Purge, I believe, is next to Roni.
So Purge, I find that nobody really runs this, but to me, this is like the Leper skill that kind of like pieces everything together. It's got good enough accuracy. It's on par with everything else. And it's got a minus 40% damage modifier, so it hits roughly as strong as a normal hit. And it knocks back, which is fine. It clears corpses, which is what Leper wants to do at, you know, the middle of the fight, just to get the backliners in the front. And it gives him a little bit of accuracy buff. I wish it gave him more accuracy at higher levels, but it was a bit of a late addition.
Yeah, it seems a bit strange that it doesn't scale because, you know, Red Hook likes to scale a lot of moves in this game, even incrementally. I think, isn't it like Antiquarian's Heal Vapors gets, you know, +1 per level on the resist or something like that? So I'm surprised they, you know, didn't put this up to 10 at level 5.
It's pretty bizarre, but I mean, we already covered the fact that Bowler doesn't gain knockback chance from going to 4 to 5.
True. And Purge is kind of a mixed bag for me. I honestly don't run this that much. And I do think he makes some good points, you know. The bonus accuracy is nice because sometimes he might be, you know, 5 or 10 short, and that helps close the distance. The damage penalty isn't too much of a big deal considering how hard he hits. I think the corpse clear is the best thing about this, you know, because like you were saying, middle of the fight, you do want to get those 1 or 2 corpses out of the way. Pull that Bone Courtier to rank 1 if it's not dead already, so it can just stab you. And the knockback is a bit harder to pull off because frontliners tend to have slightly higher move resist. But if you do send a frontliner to rank 4, I mean, they're gone for a while. Like 2-3 turns, they're in the back and really not doing anything. So it's a solid move. I just don't see myself running it that much.
Oh, well, something I forgot to mention this, but this is just a base thing about the game, how if you kill an enemy with a move that clears corpses, then that enemy just will not leave a corpse. So if you just want to finish off a limping opponent in the first rank, then Purge is actually better than Chop because it, you know, it doesn't need to crit to prevent the corpse from, you know, appearing. You can just straight up kill that enemy, and next round you're hitting the enemy that was in rank 3 with him with like a chop or something.
Yes, very solid point. And you can do the same thing with Damon's Pull, but it's not, or Demon's Pull. Apparently I've been pronouncing it incorrectly, but you can do the same thing with that. Although it doesn't seem as beneficial as doing it with Purge, because, you know, the frontliner's already in the front.
Yeah, who cares if there's a corpse in rank 4? It doesn't actually do anything.
So it's interesting, but yeah, that's a nice thing about it. And I kind of have trouble rating this one. I feel like you want to put it in B, and I'm not sure where I'd put it, but I might be wrong. You might think A.
Yeah, I do think this is a B tier skill. If it could hit rank 2, then I'd say, oh yeah, it's A tier. But no, it can only hit rank 1 from rank 1.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a... It's a bit inflexible.
I can get down with that. Let's see. Revenge. If you're ready to move on, I don't know if you have any more Purge points.
Oh, I'm good with Purge being like that.
Okay. Yeah, Revenge is kind of like, hey, let me use Reflection mid-battle, but you know, it's got some downside. And it's...
Revenge is just taking up your first turn of the combat to say, okay, I'm not going to miss, and I'm going to one-shot any enemy that isn't a boss.
Yeah, and I mean, with a damage buff that strong, especially later, I mean, plus 35% damage and 11 crit, you know, like this... If Leper is the one hitting the boss repeatedly, this takes, you know, a couple turns off the fight with how hard he's hitting at that point. So that can be a big deal, you know. A boss fight going 6 turns instead of 8 could save someone.
Yeah, one of the reasons why my go-to team has Shieldbreaker and Leper is because Shieldbreaker plus Leper just obliterates any boss that is not in rank 3 and 4. With the mixture of a Shieldbreaker's camp skill that helps your units remove or ignore 15% protection.
Yes.
Stacking that with Revenge's damage buff and crit buff means that he can hit anything for like 50 points of damage every round sometimes.
Yeah, and this is before, you know, other modifiers like your trinkets, quirks, bloodlust, if you have Crimson Court and stuff.
In fact, this move... I know some people say it's unusable in hallway fights because hallway fights end pretty quickly, but the downside of Revenge being the minus dodge and the plus damage taken isn't even really a factor in those, because if you're running any speed buffs really, then round 1 you can speed buff the Leper. Leper is still probably going to go after all your other units, aka after your opponent's team has like hit you and already got their damage value. And then Leper can probably go before them next round and immediately cash in that damage before they can act.
Yeah, and there's some enemy mashes that have some evasive frontline units like spiders that, even though Revenge is a bit slower, possibly, in ending those fights, or in ending hallway fights, you know, it's more consistent because hitting those enemies, you got that accuracy. And if there's ever a question that you might not one-shot that enemy, you're probably gonna one-shot them after you hit Revenge. I am that person. You know, I think that it's not as usable in the hallway fight because those are shorter, but that doesn't mean it's unusable. I personally feel that it really shines in boss encounter. Yeah, if you synergize with it, you can blow stuff up.
Yeah. And that 35% damage, that's basically like 2 trinkets worth of damage, which is... It goes with the point that Leper can run 2 accuracy trinkets because he can just make it all up with this one skill.
Yeah, that especially at that level 5 with all those stats, like this is an ability that gives you 2 trinkets worth of stats just by pressing them. And that's part of the reason Battle Ballad's so good. Of course, that's what makes Revenge good. And it's battle long. You don't have to like re-up it, which is another.
This is a good skill. Yeah.
It'd be. I was gonna say I'm feeling like A, honestly.
Yeah, I'm also feeling A.
Okay.
It's not good enough to be S, but it is pretty damn good.
It is, and with Leper having, I don't even know if we talked about this, Leper having the highest base HP in the entire game, and probably, arguably, not even arguably, the best self-heal in the entire game too, then those penalties really don't matter, and you can just easily take care of that damage that you take over time.
He can take a stray crit from something dangerous like a Tentacle Devour or something like that.
Yeah, there are some heroes like Grave Robber, Houndmaster, and stuff like those characters that have mid 30s, 40 HP or whatever. That some crits can send them straight to like Death's Door, depending on how devastating they are if they've already taken a little bit of damage. And Leper just chills at like half HP.
Right.
Withstand? This is
the opposite skill.
Yeah, this is kind of the other side. So if you don't want to go like super full offense, I kill everything instantly Leper, then you could hit Withstand, where you get self-marking, which enemies that have like mark synergy, they're more likely to target you. It's not quite, like DD2 taunt where you force things to hit you. You get a nice chunk of protection, and then you get a ton of resists, and they don't scale, which is honestly not a huge deal. Like the prot scales, which is nice, but the resist not scaling I don't think is a huge deal, because your resists already scale naturally as you level, and at this first level, like at level 1, having plus 30 to this stuff is really strong, even though I don't think his resist.
His move resist is actually huge.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's 60. Yeah, this guy gets up to like 100 or something. Like what's he cap out at? 100? 110?
So you go from level 0 to level 6, so that's an extra 60, which means it goes to 120. So if you stack Withstand, it goes up to 130 move resist. There's only one skill in the game that can hit you through 150 move resist, unless it crits, which is a move that the Countess has.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, I think Countess, but is there another one? I'm trying to think of it. Yeah.
The Hounds in one of the Darkest Dungeon missions has 150 pull, but it's a pull, so Leper won't be hit with that anyway.
Oh, there you go. That is some knowledge. I don't know if I want to call it esoteric. I heard that word recently. I was like, oh, that's a cool word, but I don't know if that qualifies as esoteric.
Could be. But yeah, the fact that... Okay, I'm going to compare this to Bulwark of Faith, which is the Crusader's move that marks himself and gives protection. We already covered it before, so we...
I'm just bringing it up anyway.
Yeah, let's take a look at it for the hell of it. It's very much similar. It gives protection, it marks self for the battle, and it doesn't give resistances, it gives torch. And those resistances make Leper a whole lot better at tanking, in combination with the next skill we'll be talking about, which is his self-heal, which, just having a good self-heal, like Crusader can heal himself. Yes, he can also stress heal himself too. Yes, but Leper just does it infinitely better.
True. Nodding in agreement. And I think one thing I will say too is, I mean, Leper is the most like self-sufficient character in the game. Crusader's a pretty good support, and that's probably why his moves do a little, a bit less comparatively, but in terms of just taking damage to the face, Leper is just miles better. And I think one thing I will say with Withstand is, I think new players, in case they are watching content on a 8-year-old game at this point, I think a lot of new players might think, oh, I should stack Revenge and Withstand. And I mean, maybe you could, but do you agree that might be too slow for even the hallway fights? Does that take too much time?
Yeah, so the thing is that after you hit Revenge, you want to start dealing damage to make up for the lost turns. If you're wasting your turns using Withstand and then Revenge, and then finally hitting the boss on turn 3, you wasted a whole heap of time. Like, the only boss that could maybe be viable to do that on is on an enemy that the Leper can't hit immediately. Like, I don't know, maybe the Prophet or something like that.
Yeah.
But there are better moves to use against the Prophet that Leper has.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I can't wait to talk about that one. But yeah, I mean both these moves are good. Like we already talked about Revenge. Withstand, I think Withstand's pretty good too, but I think that if we were to
Withstand is definitely a skill that you run if you have other primary damage dealers on your team, like a Hellion, who's a bit squishier in the front rank, aside from her like dodge, and you're only like maybe a Highwayman in rank 3. Or if you're just not running like a primary healer, Leper can kind of mitigate the damage and then self-sufficiently heal himself.
Yeah, and honestly with Revenge, if you spend time withstanding, even that one turn lost of not swinging could be between like 30 and 50, maybe even 60 damage, like if you crit. Like that's a huge trade-off right there, just missing like 30 damage, you know? So I definitely think that stacking them isn't the thing, but Withstand does shine if you have other damage dealers, like you were saying. So if you get a lot of range damage for a fight, like Withstand's pretty good on Prophet if you're gonna like spam Intimidate, which we'll talk about, or if you have like Hellion or something like that. So I personally think this is probably B. Like it's got a lot of stats, and they're good stats, but also I think Darkest Dungeon is more of an offensively focused game. So I personally don't rate defensive abilities as high as I do offensive ones.
I mean, there are some slower encounters that you definitely would want this for, especially in the Weald where they have those fungal scratches which use Rend the Marked always on a marked target, and since marks can't really be removed outside of like Rallying Flare, then they're going to just constantly attack the Leper, and he can pretty much indefinitely stall out those fungal scratches if he has like one extra protection triggered or something like that.
Yeah, he instantly removes those things from the fight because they will never hit someone else. They're gonna pretty much just tickle him. He's not gonna feel that, and he'll resist most. Actually, they can't even blight because they're using Rend. So yeah, that's a one button answer to some potentially dangerous Weald mashes if they're out there, like you know, Scratcher and Giant, so you don't get blighted by the Scratcher and then hit by the Giant and then you just die to the first hit, that kind of stuff.
It's happened before. It's happened to everyone.
Yes, it has. It sucks too. Yeah, so Leper really good in the Weald. But yeah. Alright, what do you think?
I'm thinking B tier. It's a really good skill, but half the time Leper doesn't want to use it. It's situationally useful.
Yes, I agree with that. And we're agreeing pretty much all the way down so far, except maybe, I guess Hugh, but, you know.
There are some, we'll see.
Yeah.
Here we go, the big one. Solemnity.
The best self-heal in the entire game.
So you see people like soloing dungeons with the Leper. This is how. This skill. It heals a sixth of his HP of like 63, and it also stress heals him, and it can crit, so it can stress heal even more. Like this crit healing for 20 points it's just insane. It's like Divine Grace on a stick.
Yeah, honestly, I forgot about that. Heals are ×2, right, if you crit, so that's a ton right there. Like 4 extra stress, so it's really, really good. And like you were saying, this is how Leper solo stuff. And if he ever has an off turn, or if the party is in such a strong position that you can stall, like you just slam this. This is how, like, it's so hard for this character to afflict because you have Solemnity and healing and all. This is the main reason, besides Leper's really good HP and access to other defensive tools and stuff, that it's hard to kill him. It is very hard to kill this character outside of you like misplaying or him hard attacking.
Yeah, it's so weird that as soon as like if someone is complaining like, oh yeah, my Jester died, and you're like, how did it happen? Is like, oh, he got hit by like a random crit. And you're like, yeah, I guess Jester, if he doesn't dodge, he can die easily. If someone says, oh yeah, my Leper died, it's usually the player's fault. Like they bought I don't know, a level 4 leper into a champion mission and fought a shambler.
I read that thread. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, just throwing shade casually.
Love it. Alright. Yeah. So, Solemnity, best stress heal in the game. It's not even close. It's like 2 skills in one. It's Divine
Probably the
Grace
best
plus
heal
a
in the
huge
game as
stress
well.
heal.
This is the best everything. Just
Yeah.
S tier.
Yes. No hesitation. That good?
Yeah, every other self-heal in the game wished it was this.
Honestly, it's part of the reason I don't like Absolution or Lick Wounds is because when I press either of those, I'm like, it's not Solemnity. And it hurts my soul.
Classic leper, just outshining everyone.
Oh, he is the protagonist. Makes sense.
Yeah,
We come to a
move
move
over,
that...
Highwayman.
Oh. We gotta move. We gotta get Dismas out of here, but I don't know if we can overcome Chris with that one. So, Intimidate. This is low-key probably my favorite move Leper has. Just because of, you know, the utility. And it kind of helps deal with some of his weaknesses, you know? People say, oh, Leper has trash accuracy. Well, here's a move that has 95 accuracy. And even though it's got minus 85% damage, Leper's the hardest hitting character in the game, so it still hits for like 4. Pretty solid.
Even gets more damage later on.
Oh, it does! Look at that! I didn't even notice.
Yeah,
And it removes stealth, which on a
doesn't
slow
really
character,
matter,
not
honestly.
the best thing.
Like if you're gonna try to hit like the pink fish in the cove that have like 15 speed or something like that, yeah, he can remove it before round 2, and then it'll proceed to take its second turn, which would have removed the stealth anyway.
Maybe not, actually. Depends on who's on the team, because you get that huge, juicy minus speed hit. Decides to stick. I forgot about that.
Potentially.
Yeah,
But yeah,
like,
the real reason that everyone runs this is the huge damage debuff. That's 1/3 damage. That's crazy.
so if you need to shut down like just something that does raw on-hit damage, like Prophet, then you can spam Intimidate. Like this is maybe in the start of the game, Leper's not that strong against Prophet, you know, at Apprentice Prophet, but at Champion Prophet, he's one of the best because you can just spam Intimidate and the boss literally does no damage if you can stack 3. And it helps Leper hit rank 4, which he normally can't do. So it's just really good. It's a one-button answer to an otherwise possibly lethal fight.
Yeah, if you could stack 2 lepers doing this, then it would kind of trivialize half the boss fights in the game. There's a reason that you can only use it in rank 1, of course.
I know, that's like the biggest restriction. That's the biggest balancing thing it has on it. It's not the minus damage, or like the minus damage from Leper, you know, like him hitting for 5. That's not the limiting factor. It's the fact that only one of them can use it.
It's a very, very neat way of balancing. This move has changed a lot over the years. Do you know this was originally a minus accuracy debuff to the enemy?
When was this?
This was very early days of Darkest Dungeon. Like very
release
early.
Or early access?
This was early access I'm talking about.
My early access knowledge is limited. But I don't remember this being as strong as it was. So I don't know how many times it's been buffed or when they did it, but you know it's gone through some changing.
Oh yeah, it used to only hit the front 2 ranks. It used to also be a knockback.
When Purge existed, that's interesting.
Oh no, Purge didn't exist back then. That was
okay.
Focus. We will not talk about Focus, of course.
Where is it in the afterlife of forgotten skills alongside Hook and Slice and Maim or whatever?
Yeah. They were forgotten for a reason, of course. They weren't very good.
Alright.
Intimidate. I'm thinking this is either A or B tier. I'm gravitating towards B because I really don't use it, but I know you use it more than I do.
Yeah. Trying to.
Like my dream setup, or my average setup for Leper is Chop, Hue, Revenge, or Solemnity, probably Solemnity, and Purge.
Yeah, we play a different leper. I think I do. I think I do Chop, Hue,
Solemnity,
Solemnity,
obviously.
and then maybe Intimidate. I think that's what I do.
I am one of the Purge peasants, as they would say.
Okay, everyone's got their preferences. I'm gonna try and take my bias out of it. I'll give you B.
All right, I'm fine with B.
Hope so.
Also fine with A, but yeah.
Yeah, because well, the move where or the situations where this is like the best move aren't that many, but it's never bad. I feel so. I think it's pretty much B.
You know what? I completely forgot to say this. I was making a mental note of like, oh yeah, bring this up when we're talking about Leper's skills. Leper has no support for Purge or Intimidate, which kind of makes using these moves a bit harder. Like, of all his trinkets, he has nothing that buffs move skill chance, and he has nothing that buffs debuff skill chance. So you need to use generic trinkets to buff those if you want to use them.
Yeah, and that feels kind of bad. Big feels bad moment. Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, we have who else? There's a couple other characters. Like a cultist doesn't have healing trinkets baseline, which is odd. So
Yeah.
he's not the first to receive this lack of attention. I think we're done with them though.
Yep. Leper did relatively well. Nothing in D tier.
Yeah? Good job, Leper. Alright. Best character in Darkest Dungeon 2. Not sure about this game, but he's pretty good in this game.
Is he now?
Barista. Excuse me, Barristan.
Yes, the character that broke Darkest Dungeon 1 when he was released.
Honestly, my first memories of DD1 were watching Criparian. You know who that is, playing
Yeah, Crip.
Yeah, Crip was playing this in early access, and he would like camp in the as early as possible. I think you could camp like in the first room or something like that back then. And so
Yeah, you could camp in the first room, and they removed it because of Antiquarian triple, or just 4 Antiquarians proceeding to quadruple Trinket Scrounge and then leaving.
yeah, and it doesn't pass the week and stuff. Yeah, so. But yeah, like I remember, early camps with Man-at-Arms, and I don't know how riposte damage was calculated, but you'd see Retribution counterattacks doing like 40 damage, stuff like that, and then you had like Old Trot, and this character was just a monster.
Old Retribution gave Prot, and it also gave Old buffed Prot, which was broken in itself. So a combination of the two just broke the game.
Yeah. So. This character. And so, I mean, after the entire lifespan of DD1, he came out pretty good. Some things I wish were a bit different, but I mean, you can say that about anyone. Otherwise, overall, I think he's pretty good. We'll see. We'll see how he survives getting picked apart. First one is Crush.
Yeah, it's a basic hit. Decent accuracy, decent crit. Hits rank 3, which is kind of important.
Yeah, that's the biggest selling point, honestly. Where a lot of other frontliners, only hit the front 2 spots. Crush can go into 3, where your cultist witches are, your second bone courtiers and stuff, like the squishier enemies. You don't hit them as consistently, but if you do hit them, like, it's gonna be a lot of damage because they don't have prot. They're not designed to get hit by something like this.
Yeah. It's
about
all there is to say. He does have, his damage is a bit low. It's higher than backliner damage, but not by much.
By like a singular point on the minimum. So, I mean, Crush is solid.
It's fine. It's probably the move that you're going to be running on as your basic, I want to just hit this opponent.
I think something I wish it got, not that Man at Arms really needs this, is I wish it got like armor ignore after, you know, that kind of stuff started getting introduced more. I feel like it kind of fits.
Butcher's Circus gave it a minus 10% protection debuff for 5 rounds, which
that'd be fun.
It would have been interesting.
Yeah. So I know we put a lot of the just, you know, stock melee attacks or whatever in C. I kind of want to put it in B just because of the reach.
Well, we compare it to Finish Him, which is in C, which is also used for exactly the same reason.
Fair.
So I'd say it goes in C with that.
Damn, look at that continuity. Me, I don't have any. You on top of it.
Yeah, I just remember 2 months ago when we did that.
And if we did these in succession, like day after day, I still wouldn't remember because my memory's garbage. So it's a good thing you caught that.
Rampart. This is actually probably my favorite Man-at-Arms skill. Like, when they did the Great Trinket nerf, like, event, because certain trinkets were just so overpowered, they nerfed Rampart Shield, which was probably Man-at-Arms' best trinket. Like, let's scroll down and take a look at it, what it is now. Rampart Shield is the rare. It gives 40 move skill chance and 30 stun skill chance, which is still huge, but it used to give 40 and 40 only for a minus 5% damage. It was busted, and it made Rampart, like, one of the best skills in the game, probably. Just slamming a 180% base stun with a 40% move that also is a dance skill because it moves you forwards. That was just crazy.
Yeah, you can use it in rank 1 too. Whereas most dance skills, usually, if they're forward moving, you can't use them once you're up front because it doesn't really make sense. But this one,
yeah,
you can. So I still think it's good. Even with that trinket nerf, I mean, the skill itself is still pretty solid.
It was a bit of a minor nerf, but it still hits relatively hard. 40% total damage. Not that higher accuracy than a normal skill, but it does have the 5 crit as well.
It's got a solid crit modifier, honestly. Caps out at 9. It's not bad. This is base crit. Not too good, but
it's not that high, but 15% at max level is pretty decent.
Yeah. Definitely not hard to get more. So I guess I feel like you covered everything. I mean, it's solid. It's a good stun. It moves them. Hits decently hard. Has good trinket support, great trinket support. And I mean, are we thinking A?
I'm thinking B just because I don't know. I don't really have a good reason. I'm thinking B, but if you want to say A, then yeah, I'd agree with that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm overestimating. I thought I had a read on your placements, but apparently I don't have a read on anything. So maybe.
Well, I think that just falls down to how I play Man-at-Arms, which is mostly a defensive tool while I have a greater damage dealer doing stuff. But I mean, if you want to play Man-at-Arms like an off damage dealer support unit, then yeah, this works. This lets him do that.
I'm looking at Uppercut. Since we're trying to be focusing on continuity, I'm looking at Uppercut, and I'm thinking what separates it from Rampart, and I'm assuming it's because Uppercut's a knockback 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, Uppercut knocks back 2, but Bounty Hunter doesn't have as good stun support, even though it is a stronger stun by default.
Yeah. I'll put it in B for now, and then if we, go through it and do another pass by the end, see how it goes.
It's a bit of a tricky skill.
Bellow, this is one that I historically trashed on, and I've come around since then. But
yeah, it removes all your opponent's tokens. Oh wait, wrong game.
Yeah, it's good in DD2. You don't use it all the time, But when those tokens come up, you know, those riposte and crits and all that, then boom, screaming them
Yeah, I've locked Lethal Feint on my Man at Arms.
Sucks.
That's good. He eats all the dodge tokens, misses, and gains like 3 crit against spiders.
I thought you said he lost Lethal Feint. Did you lock
Oh no,
it?
I locked it.
Okay, never mind. Good. Yeah. Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
They said you lost. But yeah, in DD1, Bello a bit different. It's more offensively focused, whereas in DD2 it's definitely way more defensive. So in this one, they lose a bit of dodge, lose a lot of speed. Like that's a big speed amount. And then crits received while marked. Not the best secondary effect. Doesn't even scale. But I mean,
yeah, that's never going to happen realistically.
Yeah, it's the one time a year when you make it happen, you feel good about yourself, but you're really just doing this for the minus dodge and speed.
It feels like something you'd see in DD2 where you have this effect, it's like, oh, what's it gonna matter? And then he's got like a trinket that says, oh, on Bello hit, mark like
Yes.
25% chance.
Yeah.
But that doesn't exist in DD1.
That's a good point. Yeah, definitely.
So I have a bit of a pet peeve against this skill. It's that its accuracy really isn't that good for a move that is trying to remove the opponent's dodge. Like, you need to stick this on a unit that has high dodge. Like, let's say you're hitting the Shrieker, for instance. It has like 60 dodge. This has about a 50-50 chance to hit at max level, which... I mean, you're supposed to use this move so that your other heroes can hit. But if this doesn't hit itself, then what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And then Man-at-Arms not being the fastest character also doesn't help your team too much on turn 1. Something like this, but, you know, that leads to stuff like Quick Draw Man-at-Arms, like Quick Draw Charms, all that. But,
Yeah,
there's
this
also...
is the reverse Battle Ballad.
What's that?
This is the reverse Battle Ballad.
It is, yeah, 100%. And it also leads to people making the obvious criticism of how do you dodge sound? How do you get out of the way of someone screaming at you?
Just plug your ears.
Clearly. Most of the monsters probably don't have ears. Have you seen their heads? Nothing.
I mean, most of them don't have eyes, so...
Sure, yeah. So Bellows, it's solid, but like you're saying, it's got those issues where it's just not as accurate as you would like. If it sticks, you know, your team's going first the rest of the fight pretty much, and they have a really good chance of hitting and stuff. So it's good for that. Just not as consistent as I think people would like. But there are some people that swear by this move. Definitely not trying to take anything away from that.
It's what I like to call a double roll skill, where first off you have to roll accuracy, and then you have to roll debuff chance to get the effect, so it's a bit icky unless you have debuff support, which Man-at-Arms does have some debuff support. I believe his Crimson Court set gives him like 25 debuff chance or something.
I think so.
It's a good buff for if you're trying to use that, but it's 20. Okay.
That's alright though. The thing that, because I've made the same point in the past as well, the response I usually get, most things that check resist are in the same boat. Like if you throw blinding gas, it's accuracy and then stun resist. You have to get past 2 things. And so I don't think it's as much of an issue, but what I will say is I think, if I am incorrect about this, correct me, it rolls each debuff separately, right?
I'm fairly certain that it rolls them all at once. I don't use this move very much, however, so I could be wrong.
Alright. Well, in the case that it doesn't roll them separately, then that's another point kind of against it, but if it rolls them all together, I think I said it backwards, but if it rolls them all together, then what I'm saying is moot. If it rolls everything separately, then another thing. Otherwise, I guess we should just rate it. I don't know. I
I'm,
got nothing
I'm
else
not
with
a-
it.
I'm not a fan of this skill.
All right. So what then? Are you saying C? Unusable?
Well, I personally would throw it in D tier because I never use it, but it's not unusable. Like, even I have to admit that. Yeah, let's zoom in.
Sorry, just want to show it.
Alright, got a good look at his face.
I can't put that in D.
Right,
I
well-
honestly can't. I can't do it.
Right, well, let's just say it's low C then. Even though we're not doing, like, highs or lows.
I think it's a bit better, but I will side with the guest, as I have been doing.
I mean, I wanted to put it in D, but
Yeah,
you
true.
wanted to put it in C, so I'm siding with you here. Don't gaslight me into saying, "Oh, I'm giving it your way."
Maybe I'm secretly trying to put in B. You don't know.
All right. So the base skill, Defender. In case you don't know, by the way, every hero has one skill that they always start off with in their kit, and this is Man at Arms' one.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's a good point. Yeah, always has Defender. Doesn't matter which Barristan pops out of the time loop. It's always Defender.
Yeah, and Grave Robber always gets Poison Dart, so you know it's a good skill.
At least it's not Toxin. Then I'd have an issue.
True.
So with Defender, like, guarding is a really solid effect. You can do it from every space. You can reach every space, which is really nice. My only real issue with the move is the scaling doesn't feel great. Like, this 3% going up, that's... like, depending on breakpoints, does that even shave off a damage? I mean, from 1 to 5, sure. 1 to 3, maybe. Then 3 to 5, probably. 1 to 2, 3 to 4? Like, is that an extra damage off? I don't think so.
It's one of those just weird Darkest Dungeon 1 scaling things. Like, you compare this to Block versus Super Block in DD2, that's a 25% extra damage reduction that you're getting, which is basically what Man at Arms gets on most of his upgrades. So, 15 plays 25. It's not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Defender.
I do too. I agree. It's a good move. It's just the scaling's like really the only bad thing about it. If you can even call that bad, because you can use it from anywhere on anyone, which is always helpful. So he always has something to do. If he gets knocked to rank 4, he's got something he can do. And you can stack it because it has no cooldown. So you can is proc cap 80 or is it 90?
Yes, proc cap is 80. There's
Okay.
20% damage you must take.
Yeah, so you can, hit this a couple times, or if you have some other trinkets, I don't know, like hard skin, then you can almost proc cap pretty quickly at high levels. And that's nice.
Yeah, so I think the best use of Defender is sitting Man at Arms in slot 1 or slot 2, and then guarding the other rank, which makes it so that most frontliners have to hit Man at Arms, so he's getting a huge amount of value from Defender each turn.
I think that's that's best represented in the Wield against Giants. Like, you just go up there, if you don't have Leper, then you guard the other front rank person, and then boom, Giants hitting Man at Arms for like 18 instead of the other person for 36.
Yeah, Giant can crit for like 40 damage, and this is taking... like, let's say you have 2 protection trinkets, or like 1 good one, and he gets up to 50% protection. That is shaving 20 damage off that hit, which is pretty damn good for like 1 move.
It is. And the other side of this is something I started doing near the end of my recent bouts with DD1, is if I went to the Wield again, same example, for the same reason. is I like to put Antiquarian up front and have her use Protect Me on the other front rank person, because it's pretty much the same thing, forcing the other front rank person to get hit. I think it's a cool setup, so it's a really good answer to guard the other frontline person in quite a few situations. And if you have those other random fights or boss fights where your backline's in danger, you still have something to do.
Yeah, he's especially good in fights like, good against the Prophet because he can block the rubble before it comes down. He's good against the Swine King because he can guard the marked unit. It's just a really flexible skill.
It is, and you wouldn't think so. Like, oh, I just take damage for someone else, but there are a lot of times where damage, it's obvious where it's going to go. Like, if you know the enemy's movesets, or you have rubble, like you talked about, or marks, or bombs from Volv, stuff like that. There are a lot of cases where you can just use Defender. I honestly, I want to rate it highly. Like, I want to throw it up an A. I don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'd say this is an A tier skill because, I run it on pretty much every man-at-arms I have. And as you said, some units can take damage easier than others. Like, would you rather 30 damage be thrown onto a leper who has 60 health, or would you rather it be thrown onto a plague doctor who has about 32 health?
Yeah. Who has
I'm pretty sure that being able to choose who the big damage hits and mitigating it is a really good skill. That's like why Taunt is so good in DD2.
There's just a little bit of DD2 talk, but there's been some discussion. Like, I've been talking to some people who've been talking to other people, and there seems to be a growing consensus that Taunt is it might be broken. Like, it might be too good for that game. And I'm almost inclined to agree, because I don't know, might be something I make a video on later.
Well, anecdotal evidence, I once had my Plague Doctor be knocked down from full health to 0 by a crit prelude from Exemplar. So, if I could taunt and make sure that didn't happen, then yeah, that's pretty powerful.
It is. Actually, I have a clip. I hope I saved the clip. I can't remember, but I was streaming DD2, and I had a Jester that got crit prelude, blighted, died like right after, because his turn was up next from full health, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Classic prelude, classic Exemplar. I thought you said it was the best designed fight, Shuffle.
It is, dude. I'm sorry. Just crap like that can happen.
That's why you gotta lock Breacher on your Flagellant.
Oh, dude, yeah. Breacher always fun.
Right.
Retribution.
The original repost, thank you very much, Highwayman.
Chris kicked down Tyler's door, and he's like, "Give it to Dismas!"
Yeah, this is a good move. Look at Man-at-Arms in that little icon. He's happy, he's smug, he knows this is a good move.
Like, just try it, and then he hits you in the face.
Nothing personnel, kid.
True. Also, I think this riposte is slightly better, right? Doesn't the accuracy of the riposte, isn't it like 5 or 10% more than Dismas?
I think it's about the same, really.
Is it? Might be.
I think there's a footnote at the bottom of this thing, or at least under the skills, where it says riposte accuracy is such and such.
Oh, maybe.
Like if you scroll down a little, it'll say that under the last skill of his.
Ah.
Yep.
Accuracy of 90. I'm
so
curious.
It's like 5 better.
Okay, yeah. So Dismas is 85, right?
Yeah.
Alright, that's pretty good. Otherwise, yeah, this move's pretty solid. The activation isn't as good as Dual Savants, I feel like, but rank 3 to rank 3 is okay. That can ship someone down. And the riposte damage is okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out a little observation. So this does absolute garbage damage on hit. It's 25%, which is pretty much nothing really for Man-at-Arms.
Yeah, it's like 2 damage.
If this were the same in Darkest Dungeon 2, Retribution would be even better because you could use this to like ping off a block or a dodge token and then still get the riposte. So
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. And
But yeah, so one of the arguments that people say is Man-at-Arms dies to stress because he can protect himself relatively well from base damage, and Retribution can kind of solve that because Man-at-Arms' crit buff is minus 33% stress taken. So if you hit Retribution and then Defender, and you get like, I don't know, even one crit, I mean, you get a little bit of stress heal, and then you're taking less stress for 3 rounds, which stacks. So if you know, multiple crit riposte, because riposte lasts for the entire round, say you're using like Quick Draw Charm with Antiquarian or something, Man-at-Arms finds a really hard time to die from stress. I mean, even against Shambler, he can walk out with like maybe 10 stress with this.
you heard it here first. Give your Man-at-Arms crit. Give him the focus ring. Give him the Ancestor's Pen. Do it. Don't question.
Yeah, he doesn't need dodge because he has protection. So focus ring isn't even the worst choice.
Oh, even if you need dodge, for me it's kind of hard to argue against focus rings sometimes just because the upside stats are insane.
That's very true.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a solid move. Way better in DD2, but still good in this game.
Yeah, if this gave a little bit of protection like how it did at launch, then it would be probably broken. I mean, the last time that it gave protection, it broke the game.
It's fair. So where do we slot it then?
It's a nice move. I'd say it's B, but maybe A on a good day. The only problem is that Man-at-Arms has kind of low damage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. I was thinking B as well. That was the first gut check reaction.
Alright, another move for B. Truly the most saturated pool. This kind of just proves that a lot of moves in this game are pretty damn viable.
Yeah, this is... I don't know, some people think like, oh, a tier list should have, you know, the equal amount in every tier, but I kind of like when they start looking like this, where this is more of a bell curve. You know, you got the top end, the top and the bottom end aren't that, you know, there's not too many, and then most of it's in the middle. And I think that's cool. Obviously, you don't want anything down here in unusable or D. But, you know, if we have to have something like this, I'd prefer it to look.
Yeah.
Command.
Command is a battle ballad that doesn't give speed.
Yeah, I forgot. This is, and so, I'm actually forgetting DD1 stuff. Does this hit the party?
Yeah, this is a party buff.
Okay, like, I see it here, but I still wasn't sure.
Yeah,
okay.
DD2 with the one target command.
Yeah, dude. Oh, it's not good. Man-at-Arms, the best character in the game, has like 2 actual bad buttons.
It's kind of weird because it's got that bonus damage while guarded, which they were like, okay, we're gonna keep this in DD2, and they put it on like his in item. That doesn't matter.
I think the best way to get use out of this is to run like double guard. And, you know, you pick 2 damage dealers, and then you guard those 2 while you have command up. And you can do this with... I'm assuming you can do this with, like, either a second, you know, Man-at-Arms, obviously, or Houndmaster. But Houndmaster probably wants to be hit. So it's an option.
I mean, if you want to do that, you're going to need, like, a really heavy damage dealer, like Leper. Which, I mean, he can use the accuracy and the damage, and the crit.
Honestly, if you're trying to make like the hyper carry boss killer leper, this works. You know, there are some fights like Countess where you don't want leper getting the parasitic egg, so you can guard him and stuff, and that kind of makes it pop off. But otherwise, the stats are pretty good. I mean, the stats are really good. The guarded condition's a bit odd, but you can make it work. And compared to Battle Ballad, you don't get the speed. And I feel like the speed is super important for that one.
Yeah, the speed helps you Alpha Strike, and replacing it with damage versus guarded isn't really that interesting or good. Yeah. But, I mean, the thing is that Man-at-Arms is a bit sturdier than Jester, and you can use him in, like, rank 1, so he doesn't take up a backline slot if you're trying to run, you know, let's say you want to run Arbalist and Plague Doctor, and you want to run Bounty Hunter as well. It's like, oh, I need some accuracy maybe for this comp. I'll run Man at Arms in slot 1 and use command.
True.
Because yeah, he can be anywhere and use this. He doesn't need to be in the back ranks or the front ranks.
Yeah, so if you want to do those super cool Guardian Shield strats, which
yeah, Guardian Shield.
Look, man, I enjoy the rank 4 Man at Arms, even though he only has like 3 skills that he can use. It's cool, man. It's cool.
Maybe if he had like Strategic Withdraw Plus, which took him directly to rank 4, maybe.
If only, dude. Oh, he gets 4 moves, right?
Yeah,
it's 4
Bellow moves in DD1.
Gotta talk to the guy that does trinkets in DD2 and be like, can we get Guardian Shield, please? Please?
It's like, okay, and then, I don't know, makes it so that you can't use Retribution.
That'd be fair. I mean, that'd be totally fair. Although, it would, like, Retribution would hold the rank 4 build together. Like, your only offensive skill.
You hit it here first, Red Hook. Listen to us and do it, and then everyone will hate it. Nobody will be happy.
Did I... For DD2, did I tell you I got inventory nerf one time?
What did you do this time?
There was... So, in DD2, there are those storage boxes, that you can put on the wagon.
Yeah.
And they used to be 4. It'd be 4 slots. And it was almost a year ago. I was just talking in, like, the public channels, and I said... I kind of wish these were 2 slots instead of 4, because they're way too good for how common they are. And then, like, 2 weeks later, they knocked it to 2.
Oh.
Like, someone actually saw me say that. Then they put it back to 3. But I was like, damn, gotta be careful.
I never use those anyway.
I don't use them much anymore either. It was just funny.
I store all my inventory in the baby's head.
Yeah. Baby got some good trophies, for sure.
Right, so command.
C? D.
Yeah, probably C. It's usable.
It's accuracy. Like, you don't get those other, like, I shouldn't say the other stats, just the guard damage is a bit weird, but early game, when accuracy is an issue for every single person, having someone that can do this is pretty nice. Especially if you don't have the guild unlocked, because it's like week 2. Or you don't have the money and you don't want to buy Bellow because you don't have it, you have command, and that's not terrible.
Yeah, 4 crit is also a pretty good number early game.
It is. And what is it late game? 8? 8's pretty solid. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm good with C.
That's reflection stats.
A reflection on the team without the best heal. Then we come to bolster. Bolster is interesting because it got changed. This is one I do know, because it used to be 3 rounds, 1 battle, which means that you had those rare circumstances. I think it gave speed too back then.
Like, it was only speed and dodge, but it gave like 5 speed.
Yeah. So what you could do is you can still do this with Battle Ballad, and if you have like a hallway fight right at the door, and then there's a room fight, and you scouted it so you know it's there, you can like Ballad, and you used to be able to bolster at the end of the fight, and since the buff lasted rounds instead of the battle, you could carry the buff into the next fight and just start with all those stats.
It's nice.
Can't do that now.
Bolster is kind of a weird skill. Like, half the time when I see people use Bolster, it's to abuse Shard Dust. Because you get 1 use of this per battle. It doesn't say this, but oh wait, no, it does. It's at the very bottom. 1 use per battle. Now, Shard Dust is a item that you can use that refreshes your combat skills. And it takes, it gives you a little bit of stress. It also gives you a damage buff. But the main use is, to refresh the combat skills.
I'm trying to find it.
I should stall at you while you find it, yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
There
I'm
it is.
zoomed in, so I can't see it. Yeah.
But yeah, it gives you buffs, and it refreshes your combat skills. You can't use it while Virtuous So the main use you have is using Bolster to give you extra stress resist, and then you Shard Dust your Man-at-Arms to give you more stress resist, and then you do it like a third time, and you've gotten 30 dodge and 60% stress resist. At that point, using more Shard Dust, because it gives you more and more stress every time you use a Shard Dust on the same hero in the same combat. But this just gives you free dodge, basically, at the cost of a tiny amount of stress after you've stacked up like 5 bolsters and trivialized pretty much any boss in the game, including Countess.
This is you're exactly right. The Shard Dust bolster, that's kind of like the I don't know what else to do for this fight, so I'm going to do it. You know, when I did a Deathless run, I got to a boss where normally, you know, you lose 2 people. I guess I don't want to be like that spoiler.
Yes, spoilerinos.
Yeah, I mean, even though we've been spoilering everything else, but you know, there
We're
are times
spoiling an 8-year-old game.
All right, fine. In the final boss, where 2 people are killed automatically, if you want to go full deathless, then you have to take 2 people in there or one-shot it, which is much harder. And Man-at-Arms
I wonder who was able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And so, Man-at-Arms is the best character to make that happen in terms of bringing 2 people, because you just Shard Dust bolster. And for a long time, you know, people didn't want to. I mean, like, Countess has a lot of mechanics going, so people don't learn all of them, or they fight her like once or twice. They don't quite get what's going on, and that's okay. I'm not knocking them for that. But it got to the point where whenever people say, "Oh, how do I beat Countess?" people say, you know, Shard Dust and bolster. Bring 1 Man-at-Arms. Bring 2. Bring 1 in an Antiquarian, and you know, just make it so you don't interact with the boss because she can't hit you. I don't know, it never sat well with me personally, but you know, however people want to do the game, I guess. But bolster, I guess, is a long-winded way of saying that bolster isn't too impressive on its own, but when you get multiple stacks of it, then it's good.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird skill in that regard. Like, if you're playing the game as Red Hook intended, it's not particularly, you know, that great of a skill. But if you're using all the mechanics that have been put into the game, you know, after launch, then yeah, it's a good skill with everything you can do with it.
Well, with that said, this is a tough one to rate because when you use it normally, like mediocre, when you push it to the limit, it's game breaking.
Yeah, it's a very feast or famine skill. It's all or nothing.
Pretty much. So I guess how should we rate it then? Should we rate it with both ends of that in mind? Should we just assume that people aren't going to Shard Dust spam it? Or should we assume they are?
Well, you can never assume someone's not going to do anything. That's the first mistake in game development. So
Fair point.
Should probably just put it in B because yeah, it can be really good, but it can also be kind of middling.
And then you could be someone that doesn't own Color of Madness.
What do you mean? You're not willing to pay to win? What are you, a casual?
I know, dude. They should like roll the game back to the pre-Color of Madness patch if you don't have that. And then, even it's only like $5, but still.
Yeah, man, manacles all the way.
Yeah. Alright.
So, Musketeer. Do we even cover Musketeer, or would we just ignore Musketeer? Because it's Arbalest, but it takes up trinkets in the trinket rotation. And hero pool. And that's it. Oh, wait, no, I forget. She has 1 trinket that's different, the Color of Madness one.
Oh yeah, the musket ball. That sucks ass. I think we skip her, but also I need to step away for a minute. So I'll be back in 3 minutes if that's cool.
Alright, I'll refresh my drink then. Alright, that's the end of the series. Thanks for watching. We'll not discuss a cultist.
A cultist? Much better in this game than he is in the other game.
Yeah, if he was better at fighting, he could be a cultist brawler.
Uh, nice.
Sack Stab. Sack Stab is unfortunately not very good.
5 more accuracy than Chop, but you know what? Got a huge crit modifier. I like that. I like that about it.
Yeah, just Occultist in general has a huge crit modifier. It's like his thing. He's a very potentially potent character.
Yes. Yeah, so Sack Stab, pretty much a normal melee attack with bad accuracy. I shouldn't even say a normal melee attack. It is a melee attack, but it's got backline damage, bad accuracy, but then like it has a lot of reach, huge crit, and then bonus damage against Eldritch, which is the most dangerous and probably most common enemy type. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for that.
At max level, this has like 23 crit or something because Occultist has high crit. So
Yes.
yeah, 23. Sure, he has backline damage, 7 to 13, but you know, sometimes Occultist can just pull off like 20 damage consistently, turn after turn, which is pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice. He can pop off, and he can do it from the safety of rank 3.
I just don't feel Sack Stab is like the way to do it though, because so when you think I want to fix this character's accuracy and crit, you know what you think. You think in Focus Ring. It's like the go-to trinket. Like everyone runs Focus Ring. Occultist kind of has problems with Focus Ring because he wants to be in rank 2 usually, and that puts him in line of the frontliners. And he doesn't have great HP. He could actually use the dodge. That's like his main way of surviving. And reducing that is kind of something you don't want to do with Occultist.
True. So, I don't know. It's not quite a normal melee attack, so I don't know if it should go into C, but it kind of feels like it should because it's got low accuracy and it's got some drawbacks.
Yeah, it's not that great, so C is probably the place where you put it.
All right.
If this were on a stronger unit, then probably would be better, but
Yeah,
like physically stronger, not, Occultist has enough of his skills being good.
Yeah, I get you. All right. Artillery. This is better in 2. I feel like DD2. It's not as good in this game. It's okay, but I don't know. I personally don't use this too much because not a huge fan of backline occultists anymore, for probably obvious reasons that'll be stated later anyway. So I mean, this move's okay. Like, it gets the job done. I think it's damage positive if it hits 2 units, but
yeah, I think this is a pretty good move. Like, it's on the higher end of damage modifiers in terms of AoE. Like, minus 33% isn't that bad. It does do extra damage versus Eldritch, which may come into play. Like, especially in the Cove, you can reliably hit like 2 fish if you have an accuracy trinket. Which, of course, this accuracy is better than that of Sack Stab. So it's not bad. It has average crit mod for an occultist skill. So it has a little bit of an extra bonus, which I'll talk about later on when we're discussing another skill. But I think Abyssal Artillery is fine for what it is if you're running backline occultist.
okay. So where would it rate then? Would it still be C? Is it slightly better? Would it B?
I think it would be still C. Like, occultist kind of has better moves to use, but it works, I guess.
Okay. Sorry, ceiling spaghetti. Roof noodles,
Yeah.
whatever other names we've
Sky
given
tentacles.
Hmm?
Sky tentacles, that's what I've always called it. Weakening Curse, which definitely has one of the greatest glow-ups of all time from 1 to 5. It gets double its effect, which is bizarre,
wow.
but okay. High accuracy, high crit, relatively. Damage, for some reason, this does 25% damage, which doesn't sound like much because it isn't, but it is enough to finish off like limping opponents from the back ranks.
That, and it's got some solid crits, so this can crit for like 4 damage. That's enough to, you were saying, finish off some stuff that gets away from like an iron.
Yeah. And the damage and... Okay, so this is like the other main minus protection debuff in the game after Hound's target whistle. But it does have less chance and less effect, but the thing is that Occultist has plenty of debuff chance support. Like, that's the one thing he has more than anything. Like, half of the things that he has buff his debuff chance, so he'll have no problem sticking prot minus or damage minus. And this is a nice mixture of the two between Intimidate and Target Whistle, both in one.
It's really good for... I mean, for those two reasons independently, like lowering something's damage or lowering its armor, but it's... I really like throwing this at some of those dangerous size 2s, you know? Like Bone General, Giant, you don't really get the prot value out of, but Swinotar, there are a lot of size 2 units that just hit really hard that this is a pretty good answer to, and like you were saying, it's got debuff support, so get that that better chance of sticking. It's not too great starting out. Like the first couple levels are a bit rough because the scaling's lower, but also the enemies hit for less damage, so you don't really notice the impact as much. But when you get to like 3, 4, 5 and stuff, then it really starts to be noticeable, I think.
Yeah. Also, this move kind of yields double benefit, like with the minus damage, minus prot. You can use this to either focus a target with the minus protection, or you can just, you know, stack this on a corrupted giant or something, and then just kind of ignore him after a few stacks and focus on the backliners first. So, when the backliners are done, you can focus on dealing with this now thoroughly weakened giant, or crab, or something like that.
True. Another good point. Also, this is one of the things I like to throw on Chevs in the court, so this and Intimidate. And they become much less of a pain.
Chevalier is probably one of the most annoying enemies in the game.
It is. The 3 Chev mash with the Manservant is feared for good reason.
You randomly awakening one during the Baron fight.
Oh, God, no. Okay. So I think it's a solid B. I mean, maybe it's higher, but I'm feeling B right
now. Yeah, I'd say it's B. If we were talking old Weakening Curse, then that would have been like maybe even S tier. There was a time when level 5 Weakening Curse gave minus 40% damage and minus 15 accuracy. It neutered anything that it hit.
I didn't realize it was the accuracy too. I remember the damage modifier being higher, so it was, you could, like, a cultist could take a damage dealer out by himself doing that. You know, you don't need Intimidate anymore. But I didn't realize it was minus accuracy too. That's insane. So good.
Yeah, it was too good though, so we had to lose it.
What could have been? Oh well.
Okay, so we're gonna have to roll a dice here with this move. We're gonna have to either put it in S or unusable, because that's what this move usually is.
Yeah. You know, go figure, actually better than it is, miles better than it is in DD2. It is so bad in the sequel. Because it's percentage based.
That's, you know, it kind of boggles the mind how, like, yeah, some heals you have to have in certain thresholds. That's one of the reasons why Scourge Flagellant is so good in Darkest Dungeon 2. It's because you can heal with his Deathless ability just if he's low on health. You can heal a unit that's only missing 5 health back to full with very little trouble. But having an inconsistent heal like this when they need to be below 50% health is not good in that game. That's like the tip that everyone says, like, the experienced players give to the new players is, do not wait until it's too late to use weird reconstruction. Like, sure, clutching that like super 50-point heal is fantastic, but you want to heal like, oh, I'm missing like 8 health. I'll heal now in case I get a bad roll.
Yeah, because that's where all the memes come from. Is someone's dying, you try and save them with this. It says 0, and sometimes they bleed. Not so much in this game, but definitely in the sequel. They start bleeding, and then you killed them. And I actually have my first file ever, which I still have. There is, I think it's an Arbalest that's dead in the graveyard to a wound from an ally, and that was a 0 bleed. So don't do that. And
yeah, late game, the bleed literally doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that like max level Leper, who has the lowest bleed resist in the game, has like a 5% chance to be bled or something like that.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the bleed chance, since it doesn't scale super hard, just it stops mattering. It barely matters early, and then by like especially 3 because it doesn't go up any higher. Like 3, 4, 5, it just doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So I think some trouble with this skill is like people try to build a cultist as like a soul healer with this skill, which he can do, but the thing is that the best way to utilize a cultist is to score a crit with him in his damage dealing ways. To give him the 25% healing skills, which is huge. That's like almost a junior's head for free. And then pop off with a big heal.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of weird. I don't know if Red Hook did this intentionally, because he doesn't get healing trinkets. We were talking about that earlier. He gets the healing bonus for critting, so it's like, is that the intended way to do it? You know, just get a crit off some other thing that has, 14,000% crit and then heal? Because it works.
Yeah. I think the only heal trinket is like the Crimson Court tentacle trinket, right? Or something like that.
I don't even think
Does that even do
that? I don't think so. I'll double check, but I really, damn. Someone went ham on this section. I think he's got like the most of he's got the biggest write-up I've seen.
Occultist fans, they're putting out the work.
They really are, man.
Okay, no, it's the minus bleed chance, which is
which
decent
is
early game.
Like, yeah. So weird is odd.
A very weird skill, but Thank you. I'll accept my -2 pips.
Yeah. So with this, it's interesting because also I think it's better than, it's like mathematically a bit stronger than Divine Grace at level 1. Something like that, because I think that consistently heals for like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think it's a 4 to 5 or a 4 to 6.
So on paper, this can actually do more, but
yeah, early game though, you have less bleed resist.
Yeah, it's got its own issues. I think this move's okay. Like, I don't think it's S. I don't think it's D. I honestly think it's like B-ish. Where did we put?
We haven't put Grace.
We haven't gotten to Vestal.
Lost alphabetically.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay. There's really nothing to go by. I think it's like a B, personally.
I'd say either B or A because, like, comparing it, it's to me better than the Arbalest heal. It's not as consistent, but I think it's better.
Is it better than Reclaim?
I think so. But is it good? Is it better than, like, or on the same level as Redeem? I don't think so.
No, definitely not.
Probably just B then. High-ish B.
I'm not organizing them, so I apologize, but yeah. What's that?
Vulnerability Hex.
Vuln Hex.
The oldest mark in the game.
I don't even understand this icon now that I think about it. Like, why is the skull disintegrating? They didn't get shot.
Yeah, why doesn't this remove protection?
I know, you got Weakening Curse and then Vulnerability Hex. I don't know.
So yeah, it does like no damage. It has the same crit as Weakening Curse and Accuracy. It marks and it removes dodge, which is the exact same as the Arbalest one, except yeah, it does damage and can hit rank 1 from anywhere.
Yeah, dude, I'm always gonna be mad about Sniper's Mark. It's never not gonna piss me. Every time especially when I see this one.
Also, yeah, it's better because Occultist has much more debuff support.
That too. I think this is a solid move early, not so much for the marking, but the minus 15 dodge is pretty high.
Yeah, it's like the whole. It's an accuracy buff for your team just against one unit, which does work.
It can be helpful. I mean,
I personally love this against Shrieker. Like, this is probably my go-to. You know, choose a cultist, stack some accuracy on him. He's a fast unit, so he can get it off, and then all your other units can take advantage of the minus 20 dodge.
Yeah, like if you want to go for especially like a Houndmaster against Shrieker, this is probably the best setup move. You get the extra accuracy, you get the bonus damage, and then you get like the beat damage.
Really I bring Leper against Shrieker when I use this.
You bring 2 occultists? Like
no, just one, and one occultist, one jester, one shield breaker, one leper. I made a video like years ago at this point. It was a tally hole meme, and like one of the lines from the song is I was observing the birds circle in for the kill, and had a clip of leper critting the Shrieker for like 63 damage.
Okay, that's like half its life or a third of its life. Good.
Yeah, consistency. Yeah, I like Vulnerability Hex. Not so much for its mark, more for the minus dodge.
Yeah, honestly, the mark is secondary. Like, if you're building a mark team, you're going for some kind of prod debuff. You're not going... This is just a big dodge debuff.
It's fair enough, considering accuracy is like one of the best stats in the game.
Because if you don't hit anything, you do 0 damage. So if we had to rate it...
I'd say this is also B. This is... If it was 30 dodge, then I'd say it's A, but it's 20, which is fine.
30 dodge would be nuts. Oh yeah, we got that famous Red Hook scaling. 1 per level. With how much like enemy stats jump up between vet and champion, that 3 feels negligible.
I mean, if you want to go on a tangent about scaling, we can do that when we get to Shield Breaker.
Ah, that character. Her time is coming.
Hands from the Abyss.
Okay, so my personal journey with this move was I never touched it for like 4 years. And then I used it and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And now I only run it.
This is a very good skill. Kind of it. That's just really all I have to say. Like, everyone sees this and is like, oh, minus Torch. Torch is like, if I don't tend to the Torch, then Shamblers spawn and other junk like that. But it's really not that much of an issue when you're throwing out 150% base stuns with like 23% crit and only having a minus 50 damage modifier.
Yeah, like this thing has no business having only minus 50% damage. This should be like minus 90 or something, because this can crit to like 8 or 10 or something like that. It can hit pretty hard if it wants to. So,
the main drawback of actually using the skill is having to put a Cultist in slot 2 or 1, where he's going to take some damage. But he's fast, so he can probably stun the unit before it, takes their action. And this is strong enough with his support, because he has good stun support trinkets, to chain stun, which is kind of hard to do.
Because of those trinkets, so like the Demon's Cauldron and Vial of Sand, obviously one of those is DLC, but you get 30 from Cauldron, then you get another 20 from Vial of Sand, which is, no condition. So you can have plus 50% stun if you put both of them on. And Occultist is the most reliable chain stunner in the game because of that. So if they're not already, you know, really high stun resist just as a base, if they're like 60, 90 stun resist or something like that, then you can stun them once. You can stun them a second time. And then if you crit, you can almost easily stun them a third time because you get up to a 220% stun chance, which is insane. And I think Thick has a video of him stunning the Brigand Pounder with Occultist because it's so high. Not that it does anything, but you can do it.
Yeah, it's insane, the potential of this skill. And to think people just don't use it because they see minus torch. Like, if this didn't have minus torch, this move probably would have been nerfed ages ago because people would realize that this move is good.
I think it's that, and I think it's the fact that Occultist has to be up front than before. So you got someone that doesn't have great defenses up front where they are in actual danger, especially like if you put them in rank 2. Like rank 2 probably gets hit the most in the entire game, I would say. Just because of, you know, enemy reach and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's no front mortar in this game.
Yeah. Screw that move.
Right.
But yeah, because of that, you know, people are afraid to put Occultist up front. You know, one of the most common comments I get about Occultist when people watch my DD1 videos is they say, I never put Occultist up front until I saw your videos. And now I can't stop doing it. It's like, yes, become addicted to this move. It's so powerful.
What a move.
It is. I mean, even without the trinket support, I want to put it in S. It's that powerful.
I mean, it is a very reliable stun, and it can hit rank 3 as well. It's got decent reach. So, you know what? Maybe this is an S tier skill.
You have the Stygian's Embrace because it's BC.
Oh yeah, this is the Butcher's Circus one, so yeah, it's Stygian Embrace. There you go, Stygian Embrace, you get an S tier. Only tier list you'll do that because you're not yourself.
Oh man, that's Occultist powering up to go into S tier. Like, yep, this is where I belong.
I do like Stygian Embrace in BC though.
It's fun. It's different. So I agree.
Just taking a unit off death's door, 1 health, stealth. Try to kill it now.
Good luck, nerd. Then they just cleave you.
Yeah.
I don't even know if people do that and play BC in like 2 years, but
probably for the best.
Yeah.
Demon's Pull.
Demon's Pull. This one's alright. I mean, it hits pretty hard. You can use it at a rank 2, which is nice. I forgot about that. That's pretty nice about it. So it's okay, you know, half damage, decent accuracy, decent crit. Corpse clear, pull 2. Grab those core tiers, pull them up front, kill them. It's a solid move, I feel like.
It's a nice move, yeah. Pulling a rank 3 unit into rank 1 and just disabling their moves, like Pinkfish. Pinkfish can't... Like, the thing about Pinkfish's frontline thing is I'm pretty sure they don't move backwards when they use it.
I think you're right. I think if they're in rank 1, the dagger stab, I don't think they move with that. But their stress nuke will push them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And I think the same is also the same for the Courtier as well.
Yeah, right. Actually, I don't even think he can move back at all, like, once he's up there. Like, Tempting Goblet doesn't push back, so he's just stuck.
Yeah. It is the ruins, the easier thing.
True. Yeah. So ceremonial cut. Yeah. No self effect. So only back on stress wave, but it can use it in 1.
If only this did bonus damage versus Eldritch, it would be the true hard counter.
Yeah. I mean, he already has a great matchup on the Cove. I don't think he needs the. It'd be nice, honestly. It'd be very nice if he had it, but you know, it doesn't ruin this move. That's what I'm trying to say.
He has some move support, doesn't he? Like in trinkets. Like I think he has like something that gives him move chance.
Vial of Sand, and he might have Cursed Incense too. He's got 2.
Why is the text like yellow though?
I don't know. It bugs me.
What are you doing?
It should be blue, because of the move chance, but it's yellow for some reason, which hurts my soul. Is it blue on Move Amulet?
Because no, the stupid like the things are the text in the text boxes for the skills.
Move resist is blue.
It's blue.
Oh, that would have been so
Trinket
funny.
makers, like wiki people. What's going on?
I don't know. Is it? I think is it not yellow in game? I think you're right. It's not. Okay.
No, it's very rare when that isn't the case. That it's blue. We're talking about things that don't matter. This move is kind of good.
It is.
Not
We're
too
just being
good,
nerds. Let's see. I'm feeling B right off the bat. I mean, the corpse destruction is my favorite part. Well, it's not my favorite actually. Pulling a backliner into rank 1, but the corpse destruction is nice.
Yeah, so we've got Come Hither in C, which is also a pull on a unit that has good pull support. But I feel like Bounty Hunter is better doing damage so that he has like an excuse to not pull. I do think Occultist's pull is better, slightly.
Not good enough to jump it up a level though.
It might be. I mean, the corpse clearing, if you do kill whatever's in rank 1 or 2, you can pull a 4th ranker directly into the front. So that is a bonus on its part.
It is. That can be helpful. Sometimes it's relevant.
You know what? I'd put it in B. Why not?
Cultist making power moves right now.
Yeah. It's got four moves in B.
And he does. What a god. Alright. Only
off to the
3
next
more to
hero.
go.
Plague Doctor, Best Blight Girl.
She be. Wait, no. No, she's not. I forgot about poison darts. How dare you?
Noxious Blast.
Noxious. Okay. You get the... It's solid damage. And then you get that minus accuracy, which doesn't feel like a whole lot. But when you throw these into the same person every turn, you get minus 21 accuracy. That's pretty nice.
I was going to say Plague Doctor has no debuff support, but that's not true. Her town construction building gives her 15% debuff chance.
Right, the Athenium or whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of odd that that's the only thing she gets, but I mean, hey, it's something. And yeah, this is just kind of a bog standard hit the front ranks for damage thing, with good accuracy, and Plague Doctor never has trouble sticking her blights. Like, she can blight the Virago, if need be.
She has the power. Yeah, it's a solid move. A lot of the frontliners have prots, so this kind of gets a little bit of value if you care about that, if you don't have some other way to deal with it.
Yeah, there's only one frontliner that even has like blight resist that has protection, and that's the mushroom men. Because like
don't really matter.
The skeletons sure as hell don't. The octopus men sure as hell don't. The crab doesn't. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do crab pinchers when you said that. I don't know why, I just felt compelled.
It's okay. I'll see them in the video.
I'm really surprised you're gonna watch through these after recording them, but
I might watch them at double speed.
Shouts all the double speeders, but yeah.
Yeah, Zeta.
So Noxious.
I think Noxious is good.
Yeah, I don't want to put it in C. I feel like it's a bit better. I was gonna say B.
Yeah, I'd put it in B because that is a lot of blight damage. Like it's what, like 27. Oh no, it's only 7 points, but that's still 21 points of blight damage on a non-crit consistently.
Yeah, and it's got a pretty solid crit mod for whatever reason, so...
If it were DD2, I'd be putting it higher, because... Damn.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say, is there anything else?
No, we're done with DD2 hero.
Huh?
But, I'm just saying, Plague Doctor, favorite DD2 hero.
She's a good choice. She's very fun. You get her at the beginning, so if you like her, then you always have access to her.
Yeah, you know what she doesn't start with in DD2?
Plague Grenade, which I'm still trying to figure out the thinking on that one.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
What a move. This is
Alright.
the wars have been raged over the years whether you should hit Plague Grenade or Blinding Gas first. And
I was gonna ask, where do you fall? Where do you fall in this camp?
I am of the belief that Plague Grenade goes first.
Okay.
Because the damage over time, like you can, like they get stun resist on the second turn, but if you play Grenade, you can, you get the blight off, and then your opponents probably won't be lasting a lot longer if you take their next turn. But yeah.
So this is some solid blight to 2 targets with really good accuracy. So no matter where you come down in the discussion, if it's blinding first or plague first, the point is that between these 2 moves, which we'll talk about blinding gas next, Plague Doctor can pretty much solo a backline pair. Just rotate those 2, they're dead by turn 4.
Yeah, there's a reason why that everyone, well, not everyone, a lot of people pair her up with Flagellant for Reign of Sorrows to get the Blight Bleed mixed and mutilate the backline.
Yeah, it's one of the most
Plague
satisfying.
Grenade is a major part.
Hmm?
I'm just saying, yeah, Plague Grenade is a major part because this does a total of 36 damage from its Blight if you stick it to 2 units.
That's a lot. That is quite a lot. And then if you think about stacking it, backlines melt. So it's a good move. In terms of cleaves, AoEs, whatever you want to call them, usually being a victim of damage scaling, this doesn't feel like it. It really doesn't. Like, it's got the low on hit, but otherwise, it doesn't have like a negative crit modifier. So it's good. It's a good move.
Yeah. Probably
good,
one of the best backline hitters. I think this is an A tier skill because you don't find many comps where you don't want to run this.
Fair. I mean, even if you run an Incision Plague Doctor, it's still okay to have Plague Grenade. Like, that's how good it is.
Yeah.
And I can get down there. I was thinking B at first, but I can get down there.
Down with the sickness, because that's what she's bringing.
Ooh, For the, you know what? Whatever. Does Disturb still make music? That's the real question.
We may never know.
I could tab out and Google, but I shall not.
No, we cannot do it. The prophecy is spoken. Blinding Gas, it's a double stun. It's basically all you need to know.
We've been talking about through this whole series how good stuns are. And now we have a move that stuns 2 people.
I mean, we had that before, Barbaric Yawp, but this stuns the backliners.
This stuns the backline, which is where most of the nonsense happens. And it's also on a character that is faster than Hellion.
And also, the backliners notoriously have rather low stun resist.
That too. So we have a decent accuracy move. It's 2 targets that are honestly kind of vulnerable to it. Removes their turns. Sometimes this can save you, 20, 30 stress if it's like the pink fish. Pretty good. Very good.
I think now's about the time we should talk about that trinket.
Before we talk about that trinket, I am going to say that I personally come down in the camp of Blinding Gas. Just because I feel it's more consistent. Basically, if you get outrolled on speed by the by the backline, then you at least stop them on turn 2, and you can still set up your blight. But I don't know. I like having the control more, mainly because also on turn 1, if there's 4 enemies, I don't want to get hit 4 times. I'd rather get hit twice, and then try and set up the backline to die by next turn, or at least have someone dead by next turn. That I value Blinding Gas more, but that's me.
I think this may very well be a case of what other backline focuses do you have in your team?
That is
like,
also
if you're running
true.
Hellion, you probably want to run Blinding Gas first. But if you have, like, frontliners and other support characters, you probably want to hit Plague Grenade to actually get that damage down.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it theoretically it can be debated, but when you get into like the reality of things, your team comp definitely matters, and your damage thresholds matter. If you have a quick team where, you know, the Blight's gonna for sure kill them after, like, you know, 2 turns or after the stun or whatever, then yeah, it could be really good. Depending on if you have like Hellion, something else could be better. You gotta look at what you're fighting, is what I guess I'm trying to say. You know, I brain off and hit blinding gas. That's me.
Yeah, and another question is, like, do you need your Plague Doctor to be doing damage? Like, are you running damage build Plague Doctor, or are you running more so support?
True.
But yeah, so there's this trinket in the game. Oh wow, that's a lot of text.
It is. They talk about I have to read I don't want to read this like right now because it's a lot of text, but it looks like whoever wrote this does discuss blinding gas, Plague Grenade first. Interesting. But you're talking about that trinket before, and that trinket is easily the Diseased Herb.
Yeah, Diseased Herb, you know, Plague Doctor has some pretty decent disease risk. Like, it's actually one of the highest disease resists, and Diseased Herb just makes her an absolute tank for disease skills. Like, if you put her right up the front in rank 1 into the Warrens against those disease-heavy enemies, she's gonna come out completely clean. Just kidding, we're talking about Blasphemous Vial because it's fucking broken.
Yeah, this is the nerf version.
Yes, it used to be like 40 stun skill chance, 30 blight skill chance.
And like 20 stress.
Yeah, it was broken then, and it's broken now. It makes it so Plague Doctor never misses with any of her range skills. She always sticks like every blight, and she sticks like every stun. It's stupid. And it's a very rare trinket, which you'd think, oh, you're not going to get it early in the game. But very rare trinkets are boss drops, so what most people do is they wait until the Necromancer is going to drop this and get it as their first very rare trinket. And it carries them for the rest of the game.
Yes. So you new players out there who have watched all 3 parts, made it through the final boss spoilers that I talked about earlier, and you're still watching, a great tip. Save your early boss drops to get this, because you get a Plague Doctor guaranteed at the start of the game. This trinket's busted. Just wait for that.
Yeah, it's either this or Focus Ring. No in between.
Honestly, yeah. Those are the 2 top. If you don't see one of those, and you're not trying to do something specific with the character that you like, you know, maybe you want Berserk Mask for Leper, I don't know. But if you're not doing one of those, it's this or Focus Ring, 100%.
But Shuffle, Wounding Helmet gives my Bounty Hunter 25% damage.
God, Wounding Helmet and like Sacred Scroll are the 2 biggest trap trinkets in this entire game.
We didn't even discuss them because they're not important.
Yeah, I mean, Wounding Helmet, like, you can get damage from multiple sources, and then you just destroy Bounty Hunter's control kit. Not worth. Not worth at all. Man.
But yeah, Blinding Gas. This makes it very good.
I think it's S, honestly. I mean, even without the trinket, like, stunning 2 units, like the 2 more troublesome units too, not like Yop that stuns the front 2, which they hit hard, usually don't do anything else besides that.
Oh yeah, I forget, they changed, hang on, go back to Blinding Gases on its list. I forgot that they changed this for some reason, because now this has a
limit, right?
Uses per battle.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't need, because you're not stunning the backline 3 times before they like get moved up, but still. That's how they tried to balance the skill, and it didn't do anything. But
yeah, this more felt like a balance check for Endless specifically, because they didn't want Plague Doctor just controlling the every wave in Endless, because she could do it. Like, you would just rotate this, and Plague Doctor would honestly be a good Endless character. She can cure disease, she would lock down all the backline units every other turn, and you'd get Battle Ballad if you ran it. You know, your front line would have to be very versatile if you wanted to do something like that, but you could. But yeah, that 3 use per battle, this never matters outside of Endless. You won't care about this. The fight's over by the time you use the third one. Only by the time you use the second one.
Yeah, the second one is just it's just finished. So yeah, this is either definitely S or A, but probably
I'm thinking S.
Yeah, it may very well be S. Because we put Yorp in A, but Yorp is on a slower unit and also debuffs Hellion afterwards.
Yeah, true. And this is just a straight upgrade in most cases.
Also, Hellion has no stun bonuses.
Hellion doesn't?
She doesn't have a Blasphemous Vial.
True. Doesn't have the support for it. Gotta use Dazzling Charms like a peasant. My phone yelled at me. Notification. Incision. This is one I got a lot of pushback about this movie because I always thought that Noxious was better in terms of damage.
I mean, base damage, no. Damage over time, yes, usually.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Incision is that it's you want to be running a trinket to support it, which Plague Doctor does have a good support trinket, the Bloody Herb. It's like rare, isn't it? Yeah. It fixes everything that's a bit middling with Incision, the chance for the bleed, the accuracy, the damage itself, which makes it actually pretty good, but I feel that Incision is just too weak without it. Like, this skill is completely dependent on that one trinket.
Honestly, yeah. Like, Noxious Blast you can use without Blasphemous Vial, although you probably are using it. Whereas Incision isn't super good without Bloody Herb. It's just... It's weird because Bloody Herb makes Incision a pretty good move and usable, and you can, build around it and stuff like that. If Bloody Herb was on anyone else, if it was on Highwayman with Open Vein, if it was on Flagellant, like, this would be, it'd be busted. But it's on a character that, kind of needs the stats to make the move.
Yeah, the big difference between Blasphemous Vial is that Blasphemous Vial supports 4 skills, and Bloody Herb supports 1, but it does go all in on it.
It's a good way to explain it.
I mean, it's got good crit mod, it's got average accuracy, and the bleed is fine. I think it's a bit too low for my liking, but it does do full damage.
You get full damage, then you get a 4x3 bleed at the end, which is solid. Like, if it was 5x3, because Noxious also gets the accuracy penalty. So it's like, I kind of wish Incision got a bit more baseline. But,
I think they're trying to, like, rationalize it being, oh yeah, it is an attack that does full damage, so they don't want to give it an extra accuracy buff.
Yeah, something like accuracy, reach. She can use that out of 3, which is nice, but, hitting into 3 would be interesting. 5-point bleed might be nice, but I get it. So, I don't know, this is a tough one to rate. I almost want to put it in just C, because it almost feels like a normal melee attack.
Yeah, in some ways. I feel like it's not that good, considering it's a backliner skill. Like, backliner damage, the dot is nice, but it does need support if you want to actually, use it to its fullest potential.
Is there a case for B? Is there any case for B?
There is a case for B because, I mean, as we said, it's a full damage that also does a damage over time effect.
Yeah, and it's got slightly better accuracy than some of these things. Honestly, the mathematical damage, which, I'm going to push up my glasses, snort a few times, but the mathematical damage, let's see.
Yeah, if it max rolls and sticks the damage over time, it hits for 25 damage at max level.
Without crit, right? That is pretty
crit.
Good. That is pretty good. I mean, that's more than Smite. Smite's 10 to 19.
Yeah, that's true.
And even then,
unless it's against Unholy.
Sorry.
Unless it's against Unholy, but Smite doesn't have to pass a dot check.
So, let's say hypothetically speaking, let's say for the sake of argument in this hypothetical, Incision, you have one Plague Doctor, and you have one Incision. You hit one target, and the bleed sticks. It's still 19 minimum damage.
Yeah. But most of that damage is not instant damage. Just also kind of a tax you pay. Like, let's see, what other skills do we have that are like this we can compare? Slice Off. Slice Off is more than that, I'm pretty sure. Slice Off hits different ranks, yes. Slice Off has higher damage and higher crit. Oh no, it doesn't have higher damage.
Crit.
It does have very high crit. Is it better than Slice Off?
Does it have to be better? Could it be similar to Slice Off?
It is similar, but I'm saying that because Slice Off is in C.
Wait, no, Harvest. Wait, that's Slice Off. Never mind. I was looking at Harvest. What about if it bleeds?
Yes, Harvest is B. Slice Off is in C.
What about if it bleeds?
If it bleeds, hits rank 3. And Hellion has a bunch of bleed, synergy.
Okay. Open Vein? You get the speed debuff.
Open Vein is on Highwayman, who has a bit more damage, more crit. Kind of similar to that. Doesn't Open Vein also have higher accuracy?
Yeah, I think it's 115 for Open Vein. Like 10 more. It's at least 110.
Yeah, it's 115, I'm pretty sure. Highwayman has a little bit of bleed support.
It is 150.
Yeah, and it does the same amount of bleed and lowers bleed resist.
Okay. It is not Open Vein. I think it might be C.
Alright. Slot it in. Sorry, Plague Doctor, all of your skills so far have been in B or higher. Gotta take a hit.
I know. I mean, she's in the running for one of the best characters. I know people don't like to rate characters in terms of her effectiveness and stuff. I would say she's like a top 3. Okay, if she has some. Damn. You know, I'm glad we kind of hashed that one out. That felt very substantive, you know?
Yeah, it's thorough analysis if you didn't get this by the first, 3 hours.
Yeah. And we come to her heal, Battlefield Medicine. Heals. The target's the only one that gets the HP, right? But it cures on both.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say this isn't a heal, it's a cure of a dot, and that's basically it. Because 3 points of healing at max level is like nothing.
It's definitely not something you trinket for. You don't lock in like Hippocratic, you don't run Junia's head and stuff. It's just nice because if someone is on death's door and you go first, it picks them up. So that's kind of nice, but that's it. Not really doing anything else with that. Although if you are stalling and you don't need to stack Noxious, you can crit fish with this, but that's really hyper min-maxy, and that almost never happens.
Plague Doctor definitely can stick a blight to something, and then it's like, okay, they die on their next turn, so I can stall until they take their turn and die. In which case, yeah, this is some decent value, I guess. But it's like, if you heal a leper who just got hit by a 30-point bleed from a crab or something like that, you're healing 30 points effectively from the cure, and then you heal 5% of his max HP from the heal itself.
Yeah, I know we just, went all in on talking about the HP healing, but the best way to think about that is like you were just saying, where it's a proactive heal. It's more the damage you're preventing. Those super huge arterial pinch crits, those God. I think the Templar Warlords or whatever, they have a nasty blight, I think. So,
Thing from the Stars inflicts a 7-point blight as well.
Yeah, there are some really heavy dots in the game. And sometimes there's dots that hit the party, or at least, a couple people get dotted up, so Plague Doctor taking it off 2.
Undulating Invasion is a good skill to highlight the benefits of Battlefield Medicine, because it can hit both back ranks and does some pretty heavy damage, and does a blight, so Plague Doctor can get some pretty good value if she's curing herself and another unit of that blight.
Yeah, perfect. That is a great example. And she's really fast, so she's gonna go before most people get their turn of damage over time. So it's really, really good to prevent stuff. So the upside on curing these statuses can be really strong. Like you can prevent like 18, 30 damage and stuff like that. It's really good.
Yeah, most dots at champion level are like 5-point blights and bleeds.
Yeah.
So it's at least a 15-point, well, 18-point heal if you decide to upgrade it. But the thing is, you don't need to upgrade the skill, really.
That's one of the nice things about it, you know. Early game, you're struggling for cash. You don't have to sink, 200, 400, whatever the upgrade tiers are, You don't have to sink that money into it. And it's good, If you want to drop the 2,000 gold, taking it from like 1 to 5, then you get a couple points out of it.
Yeah, you get an average of half a point of healing every time you level it up.
They don't even need to do that. It's good at level 1, which is kind of nice. So I do like this move. I think it's at least a solid B, just because of the prevention aspect.
Well, the thing about this move is it kind of actively gets worse later on. Like, yeah, sure, dots become higher damaging, but as the game goes on, your characters get higher health, and they're also scaling their resistances, and resistances kind of scale very hard in DD1. Like, in DD2, you've got units that have like 30 bleed resist, and like 40 bleed resist is considered high in that game. In this game, a high bleed resist character is like the Flagellant, who at max level has like 150 or 125 or some huge number.
Yeah.
Which they're not going to get hit by a dot.
Yeah, basically with how resist scale and enemy, effect chance scales, a lot of barking dogs, I'm sorry if you hear them, but it's like your chance to eat a damage over time late game is like 30%, 30-40 on like some bad days. So the effectiveness does kind of drop off in that regard, but also no, there is no also. I guess that's it.
Yeah. I think this is just C. I wish this healing was a little better. Like, if it was maybe 5 to 6, I'd put it in B, but 3 points is just a bit too small for my liking.
Oh, dude, if it was 5 to 6, you wouldn't have to take Vestal outside of like the group heal. This was like 5 to 6, so it would put some heals out of business. I feel like.
Maybe. But I feel like, you have other strong heals, like you have like the Arbalist's heal, and that buffs self-healing in other sources, which, gives it a bit of an edge on this, which is just flat healing unless you're fighting dots, because not every enemy comp even has dots. Some fights this is just a heal. Small heal.
Some fights it's either just a heal or just a dead button. I guess I can do. It pains me.
Plague Doctor's got enough good skills.
I think it's funny too. I didn't notice this before because I never focused enough on the icon, but the icon is literally just the anti-venom and a bandage.
She put the anti-venom in a different bottle, and that's about it.
Yeah, like this move is just a provision. Oh god.
I stack an infinite amount of bandages and anti-venom in this cloak.
The cloak of many pockets.
Yeah, that's the new Color of Madness trinket. Emboldening Vapors. Kind of changed throughout the years. What does it do now? It's just speed and damage, right?
Speed and damage.
Yes, 2 uses per battle, I believe, yeah. I wish this scaled a bit better, because it gains 5% damage from level 1 to 5.
And then it only gets 2 speed. Like, the scaling on this is not...
Look stellar. At that change from level 1 to 2. That gets 1% damage.
This is something, we were talking about scaling before, like Battlefield Medicine. You don't have to level this. You don't have to spend the gold. If you are going to spend it, just wait till 5. Don't even screw with the in-betweens. It's not worth it.
Yeah, there's This reminds me of in FTL Multiverse, there's like a bonus you can get for the next run you do by talking to a certain character with a benefit or some accomplishment. And one of them is that it gives your characters a 1% HP buff, but that's because you did something really bad and immoral, and it's like, please don't do that again. So this is kind of equally as insulting.
Insulting is a good word. This is insulting. Think I'm gonna pay money for this? Like, I mean, what's the lore behind this? She gets slightly better as a chemist and gets a 1% more pure freaking yield on this thing.
She adds strawberry flavor to the vape.
Hell yeah. Have you seen pictures of competitive vaping? Did you know that exists?
Sadly, I do know that it exists, and I do not want to talk about it.
Spartan with the dark competitive vapors.
No, I just refuse to give them attention.
Huh?
I just refuse to give them attention.
Fair. Alright. Well, we're giving this attention. This is another thing where if you shard dust it, it's actually okay. But shard dust, that makes a lot of things kind of bonkers.
Yeah, you get a double benefit because it, refreshes it twice.
So if you want to one-shot the final boss, you can bring your 3 Plague Doctors and then stack a zillion of these. I don't even know how much that would be. If you want to spend all the time doing it, then just, kerblam.
Yeah, it's a fun time for sure.
There aren't many chances. There aren't many times to bring this out. I think the times I do use this are if I have certain boss killer setups, like I'm trying to 1 week Baron, and I have a leper, then I'll bring this to, juice up leper to, one shot into the next phase at least for Baron, that kind of stuff.
I love how half the explanations of these buff skills is like, oh yeah, it's good if you have leper. It's like the entire meta of every buff in the game revolves around, yeah, well, what does it do for leper? It's just because of those huge bases of his.
Yeah, I mean, Hellion can get it done too. Like, you can still juice up some other people, but leper is like the easiest to get it with, I feel like, because of reflection.
Yeah. I guess at max level it does set him on a 9 speed, which is on par with Plague Doctor herself.
It's okay. I mean, I'm doing a lot of talking, but this move is not good. Like, I would say this is almost D.
Yeah, it gives... I mean, speed is a really good stat, but there are other ways to give damage.
The amount of damage it gives you, and then the scaling on top of it, is just not quite worth enough, in my opinions.
Yeah. It used to give accuracy, which kind of made it viable, but it's not really anymore.
I think the thing that really makes this not feel great...
do you have to attend to your cats right now?
No, why? Hello?
Hello, Shuffle. Did my internet drop out? Something just happened there and I lost connection, so were you saying something?
Are you here? Are you good?
I'm here now. So anything that happened in the last, 30 seconds, I didn't hear.
Okay, I was talking about, I was gonna... Don't worry, I'll clean it up too. Yeah, I was just talking about, with this move, if you're looking at other buffs, to juice someone up with and stuff like that, you have, if you want speed specifically, you have Battle Ballad, which hits the entire party. And then you have, Bellow that can hit the enemy party. You have, on damage, you have Command, I guess. But, there are other ways to get more effects out of buffs than this. But
I guess it does fill the niche of giving something damage, but the thing is, Plague Doctor's kind of a damage dealer on her own regard.
Yeah, you can give someone else 25% damage, or you can hit something for 21 blight.
Yeah, it's not granting you bonus damage really, it's shuffling your damage around. Like, if this were an occultist skill, then yeah, it would be good. Occultist doesn't really have too many good damaging moves. So he can just buff someone.
He kind of has it in a way. You know, Weakening Curse, dropping prod off someone. He has Dark Strength if he can't.
Yeah, well, it doesn't work on units without prod and doesn't give speed. So...
I know,
yeah.
but... It's
Yeah,
an alternative. That's all I'm saying.
Alright.
This move is bad.
Yeah, sadly.
One more for PD, which is not a bad move. This is actually a pretty good move.
It's the other stun skill.
Kind of gets overshadowed by Blinding Gas, but this has a lot of other utility. Because you can stun someone in rank 2, you can stun, you know, someone specific, depending on stun resist and what you're fighting. Like, if you have Virago, which is like, what, 200 stun res? Then it might be 250, something stupid.
You can't really stun Virago, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And so, you don't want to waste a turn, you know, doing that. Hit the Eldritch Artillery with it, you know, and shuffle them into rank 1 so they hit you with Escape Cloud the next turn, which is really cool. And
is that really better than what it normally does, though?
You know, no, that's the joke I was trying to make, is that Escape Cloud's probably worse to get hit by.
Fair enough.
It's it diseases, right? It's like a double disease. It's so mean.
I think everything that thing does is a disease.
It probably does. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, here's the thing. This is a shuffle move. You know, shout out to a niche YouTuber, Shuffle FM. Never heard of him before, but you should probably subscribe to him. If you hit this on a unit in rank 4, there's a chance that they just get pulled forward one slot. If you try and pull forward a unit in slot 3, there's a chance you just move them backwards and you make negative progress on that. So, yeah, I kind of don't like the inconsistency of it. Like, if you could use this to hit rank 1 and move them back, maybe they'll be good, but, I mean, even hitting rank 2, you can just move them forwards, and that's not beneficial particularly. It's like a luck of the draw skill.
Yeah, it's not. The only time it feels like super good is if it, you know, essentially high rolls where it sends a rank 2 to rank 4 or a 4 to 1. Then you're like, hell yeah. But that's not always the case, sadly. The shuffle is okay. It's not amazing. I don't think it's ever bad though. It'll either be inconsequential or it'll be good. I don't think it'll ever be bad, if that makes sense.
I mean, if you're trying to finish off a limping opponent in rank 3 and they get sent back 1, then maybe that's bad. Or if, like, you've got Hellion with Iron Swan trying to hit rank 4, you stun them with this, and then they, you know, they get moved forwards out of the way. But that's kind of niche. The thing is, you have to, when using the skill, consider, is it just better to just run Blinding Gas?
Yeah, because that's what it's competing with.
Yeah, unless you really want to hit rank 2.
That's the one thing it has going for it is, you know, slightly better range, but it only hits one target. So it's, I still think it's good. Definitely not better than Blinding, but you know, more stuns are never bad. IMO, and then you have the Corpse Clear. Can be helpful.
I feel like Plague Doctor doesn't want the corpses to be cleared though, because she wants to gain value out of hitting rank 3 and 4 at the same time, and can't do that if the corpses are gone.
That's a fair point. Not as effective for her as it is for others, but you know, if you're running your super amazing build of Incision and Emboldening Vapors, you need Disorienting, man. You gotta clear the way for those Incision hits.
Oh yeah, you gotta circle your entire build around the Leper, just clearing up the front ranks, so you gotta bring him in.
Right. Because if Red Hook ever nerfs that, you know, by adding corpses to the game, you can just say you're quitting because you're upset that your Leper can't bulldoze the front anymore. And you actually have to think about the backline.
What's next? They're gonna add corpses for heroes? Yeah, right.
I wish they did, man. That's like one of my biggest complaints with vanilla DD1 is I wish there were hero corpses, because if your frontliners die, your backliners are in way worse shape compared if your backliners die.
Sorry, Shuffle, you gotta play Butcher's Circus for that.
I moved on from Butcher Circus, just like I'm moving on from this skill. We need to rate it.
So it's not bad, but it just has to compete with Blinding Gas. I'd say this is a C tier through and through.
Yeah, I can get down with that.
Alright. The final DLC character of the game, Le Shieldbreaker.
Yes. This character.
So,
and this move is first.
Yes, good old-fashioned Pierce, which has higher accuracy than... Wait, hang on, before we talk about this, can we talk about the growth of Shieldbreaker's damage and speed throughout the levels, because it's an oddity.
Yeah, level 3.
Yeah, so she goes from baseline 5 to 10 to 9 to 18, because she gets 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, which is much more than pretty much any other character besides Leper, who gets a 1, 3 at one point. Yeah. But that's Leper. And she gains 2 speed going from level 2 to 3.
I think she's one of the, I think she's the only character that gets speed on her level 2 weapon as well.
Yeah. She's a bizarre case.
And then for some reason she has 10 crit. For some reason.
Yeah, the only frontliner that has 10 crit, I think. And not even Highwayman has that much. And she's also got that wonky dodge number of 8 and 28.
Well, what happened
only
was
the Abomination
they were doing testing. They were doing testing, right? And they were like, at 30 dodge, too much. Too powerful. Took off 2 dodge.
Genius. But yeah. Pierce. It's the melee move that has the most range. It can hit any rank from any rank as long as it's not the 4th one. And it moves the forwards. And it pierces armor. And it only has minus 10 damage. And it has higher accuracy than a normal melee hit.
Yes. This move this honestly shouldn't exist.
So to you, which of these factors is the straw that breaks the camel's back that puts this from being an okay move to a really, really good move?
I think it's the reach into 4 and 3, personally.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, oh my god, this move. So good.
And you could argue the damage penalty not being higher because you have armor pierce against frontliners. Because that, like, the damage you're getting for piercing armor is more than the 10% you're losing, so it's not a huge deal, but I think the frontliners have enough HP that it's not as, much of a factor. The crazy thing is that this can go from, like, this is Iron Swan. Like, this is Iron Swan for free. This is Iron Swan and Wicked Hack, plus hitting rank 3 in one move. This is Iron Swan, Crush, and Wicked Hack. Or I guess just Iron Swan and Crush. Together.
Yeah, and it's a forwards moving skill that you can use in rank 1 as well, so that you can't out-position yourself while using it.
It's tough because the reach is really, good, obviously. Being able to use it in rank 1 is also really good. So I don't even think nerfing it so she couldn't use it in 1 would be that big of a deal, because you still have Adder's Kiss and, like, Impale.
Yeah, she has plenty of options to hit in the back ranks, and I mean, the damage modifier doesn't even mean anything. Oh, boo-hoo. I lose 1 to 2 damage. Snail, come see how little damage I do. Blam, instantly dead.
I know, you one-tap those poor snails. Alright.
Yeah, this is an A tier skill. I'm saying it's not S because it's just damage. It doesn't do anything else, but it is the best just damage move in the game, probably. You
Well,
thinking
that's.
S?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. I'm kind of inclined to agree. The other thing I'll say too is in some of the mods that I see that rework this character, it's usually Pierce that gets hit. Like Black Reliquary heavily nerfs it. There are a couple other like SP mods out there that nerf it. So I feel like Pierce is the thing, but at the same time, it is essentially like 8 to 16 damage. They can just hit anything. That's all it does. So it's
I
like
mean, that is good,
it is good.
but I'm gonna draw a comparison to finish him because it does relatively the same damage. The only difference is that it can't hit rank 4, and that's in C. So is being able to hit rank 4 worth like 3 positions upwards?
Fair.
Like, it does armor piercing, yes, but the back rank doesn't even have armor.
Yeah. I can put it there. I can be happy with that.
It is still a very, very good skill, though. Puncture,
This
aka Kill Guard Guardian.
yeah, that's definitely what helps with that, but I think this is almost as bad as Pierce, honestly, in terms of like how much nonsense it's doing. But because Pierce exists, people forget that puncture is like almost as bad.
Yeah, it's a weird skill. Cause like we just had move that can hit anywhere from anywhere but rank 4. Well, now here's move that can hit anything from anywhere, like full stop. There's nothing that really stops this move. You can't guard it. It has pretty average accuracy. 50% damage is eh. I think the biggest downside of the skill is that it's a ranged skill on a character that probably wants to be running melees like trinkets.
Yeah, that's the weird part is, you know, for I think Adder's is also melee, so you have like Pierce and Adder's Kiss, which are, good moves. They're melee.
I swear Addis Case is a melee.
It should be, right? It is melee, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I was hoping it wasn't ranged. So it's like you have two good melee options already. Oops, knock something over. And so having this, she would get too much synergy. It feels like if this was melee as well. I don't know if that was intended or not, but yeah, this doesn't even feel like a range move. Besides that, you can use that out of 4 because like she still does the same, stab animation. It still looks like a melee skill.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it was melee, it would be even better because you get that synergy. Something I like a lot about this too is you actually get that little speed debuff. Why is it 4 rounds? I didn't notice that. Why is it 4?
Yeah, and why does it have no crit ever?
This doesn't feel like too much thought was put into this, if I can be quite honest. Like, what can we do? Breaks guard. Okay. Oh, we forgot to give it crit. We'll do that tomorrow. I just forgot.
But yeah, it's a pull. It's probably better than a demon's pull because it's more flexible. It debuffs speed. It does pretty average damage.
Where we put pull? Put it in B. I honestly think puncture's there.
Yeah, I could see that because it is a shield breaker skill, and shield breaker is kind of loaded.
Right. I wasn't sure if I'd have to like convince you on that, but I do think puncture's really good. I like it.
Yeah. Also, shield breaker has a debuff support, so she can easily stick a minus speed.
Yeah. Then you have minus guard or guard break. Just if you ever feel the need to.
The only skill in the game.
I know. It's what's funny too is when because it's a debuff. It's not you have to hit them when they're guarded to get the effect. Since it's a debuff, you can like do it preemptively, and then you'll watch the Octobro just break a guard. It's like, oh, I can't guard this thing. I'm gonna try.
At least he gets the protection, which you can just proceed to ignore with Pierce.
Yes, really, really good use of turn. Okay, so
Adder's Kiss.
this move, pretty good. It's what sucks is it's easy to just fall into the trap of slamming Pierce every turn. Then you forget that Adders is actually a pretty good move.
Yeah, it hits for more damage, actually, and has Blight on top of it. And it's one of those elusive backwards one skills.
Yeah, there are a lot of skills in this game that move forward. There are very few that actually move back, which is surprising.
Yeah, you can combo that with a point-blank shot. It doesn't even need to hit rank 1, so you can use that to finish off a limping PBS target. The only issue with that is that like it may be hard to consistently roll the speed for cycling Adder's Kiss and point-blank shot or something like that.
Yeah, you have to. That's one of those things where you have to like give Shieldbreaker like a speed quirk or some kind of trinket, and then give Dismas like legendary bracer, or I don't know, heavy boots if you want to be really ridiculous, but just something to slow him down to get the consistency.
Yeah, it's a good crit mod too, so it's 19 at max level, and it's a melee, so
This is a solid move. I mean, is this at least B? I mean, it hits the front too, but
yeah, I feel that Shieldbreaker just has better buttons to push than Adder's Kiss, so I don't think it gets out of B.
yeah, I can attest to that. It's like I never feel bad pressing that move, but I never find myself like, okay, I'm gonna build my entire team or whatever around Adder's Kiss.
Yeah.
What do we have?
Blight's
Impale?
also kind of a bit weak. I mean, it's stronger than Incision, but
yes,
yeah. You can't
Shieldbreaker
slam
has
this
some-
every turn.
yeah, she got some solid base stats. So,
Pale.
Impale, another back one.
Another one that you can also only use in the front rank.
Yeah, so she really wants to be in rank 1, but then she wants someone behind her that also likes to be in rank 1. So it can be a little tough to team build for this character depending on your loadouts, but you can always just slam Pierce. You don't have to think about anything, you just hit Pierce every turn.
So once again, we have a 90 accuracy base, off to a good start. Kind of crummy crit mod, does hit all targets for 40% damage, which is actually pretty good. That's a total of 160% damage. And it even blights at higher levels, for some reason.
Yeah, it's weird that the blight comes in later. And it's this, I might be wrong, but the accuracy feels pretty good too for something that hits 4 targets.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that higher than normal? I know Grape Shot's garbage, but what about
Hound's Harry, I think,
Hound's-
has a bit less accuracy than normal.
Yeah, 85, so it's
No.
-5.
Oh, yeah, 85.
So I mean, it's
So, yeah, I like using this move every now and then. It cripples every enemy. You know what? This is cripple them for a player character, and it hits rank 1.
oh yeah.
So, become the Skyver.
It's your dream to press that stupid button. Although Skyver can do like 60 damage to your entire team with that thing, or to those 3 characters collectively. This doesn't quite do as bad.
It does hit an extra unit though.
It does. So that does help scale it in terms of the overall damage a bit better. And I'm sure people that have played this character at some point have done the double impale build, which is fun. Not sure exactly if it's the most effective, but it is fun if you get the speed rolls correct and then, just melt everything in 2 turns.
It's probably very good. I mean, this is another one of them crit fishing moves where Shieldbreaker's crit buff is 15% protection, which is actually kind of good for her considering she's a bit on the squishy side. I personally like running Ancestor's Pen on her so it goes up to 25% prot, which is good enough to keep her alive.
Oh, the Signet Ring? Yeah.
Yeah, Signet Ring and Pen, but...
Oh, together. Okay, I see what you're saying. It's pretty solid. Impale is one of those things, like, I'll build around it if I want to use it, but for just like a normal run, I don't use it.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
like it just to finish off like limping opponents, but
Yeah.
it's just me maybe. I'm very much an AoE centric player. So what are you thinking on this one?
I'm looking at it, and we have Hound's Carry up in B. We have Breakthrough in B. We have Harvest in B. Why can't
So we
this
put
be
this
in
in
B?
B?
I don't know. Like the precedent seems to be that we like AoE on this list. We have Hugh.
Like what AoE don't we have in the high ranks? We have flashing daggers,
We have
bowler,
Spaghetti.
zealous. I'm looking at D tier, but yeah, not all AoEs are created equal.
The only thing that would have me keep this out of B is that it doesn't get the blight immediately. It feels kind of weird that you have to like level it up to get that.
Oh yeah, Shieldbreaker is kind of shaky in the early levels as well, before she gets her big damage buffs.
Yeah, she's definitely a character. She's probably one of the weaker level zeros, but when she hits like 3 and then higher, she really starts to pop off.
Yeah, it's very true. I'm thinking B. If you want to put it in C, then fine with that.
No, it's fine. I'll put it there. I feel like it's the most consistent with how we've been doing stuff. We got Reign of Sorrows. We get a lot of AoEs up in B. I think that's consistent for us so far.
All right. Expose S tier. S tier, everyone. Can I get a round of applause for Expose S tier?
There's an S in it and an X. That's a cool letter, and it's also a social media platform.
Yeah, make sure to follow Shieldbreaker on her X account.
That totally doesn't sound like an OF proxy. Not at all.
Sounds like.
So this is a move that I didn't really give a lot of credit, and so our first interaction, or one of them. No, wait, was it?
It was a fair way away afterwards. Where
okay,
I remember, I forget when it was that you were talking about Expose, and you said, "Oh, Expose, it's okay, but it's not that good. I don't usually run it very much." And I'm like, "Man, it's Expose. It does everything. It's the best move in the game." And then I sent that video in, and then got on the channel.
and so it turned me around. I mean, now I think Expose is pretty good. Like I don't think it's like game breaking best move or anything like that, but it's another backwards move, which is kind of crazy. She has so many ways. I think like does everything she has move her?
There's only one move she doesn't have that moves her, which is the
Captivate. Yeah, okay. I was like, it's at least 6. So this is another one of her back ones, and you get this bypass and remove stealth, which a lot of the
doesn't matter.
It doesn't, because a lot of the things you want to take stealth off of are usually in like rank 4, like gun bandits, pinkfish, stuff like that.
The only one that really matters is the hook pigs and the horses from the Endless Harvest.
Yeah, horse is annoying, so that's a good target for it. But the other stuff is good. 8% crit received at base. And that scales. That's pretty good, actually. And then you get this huge minus speed debuff. So this is like, you get hit by Expose. My team is going first after. You might eat a crit and that's it.
This is mark for death. This is a mark that works for every unit, basically.
It's a good way to say it, yeah.
Like, you don't even need to do base damage because the crits received works with dots as well. You can buff your team through this with crit buffs. Like, Abomination can gain free damage, Leper gains free accuracy. Shieldbreaker herself gains free protection. I mean, this move doesn't have that great of a crit modifier. It's a weird value. But she has 10 base crit at max level, so yeah. And Shieldbreaker has a very good debuff support trinket. The Obsidian Dagger gives 40% debuff chance and blight chance. So, kinda really good.
It is, and I'm glad you mentioned Obsidian Dagger. I know we're not talking about trinkets so much, but I really do like her her CC set. I think it's really good.
I don't use the hand really, but Obsidian Dagger is run on most of the time Shieldbreaker, like every time. Like if I'm not specifically running Pen Signet Ring, like if I'm running someone else who wants the pen, this this dagger is just going on Shieldbreaker and I'm slamming Expose every single round that I possibly can.
You find it real quick, and I don't know. Do you have a lot more to say about it? The dagger.
The dagger's just good. Like if you're running any blight skill build, or well, just any blight skills, then yeah, this works for them. Yeah, that's about it. If you have more than one shield breaker, you can spam expose on the same unit.
Just get all this crits received, and they'll start critting.
Yeah, you'll have a heavily armored shield breaker battalion that constantly swims around each other and just hits them for crazy damage because it's only a 40% minus damage modifier for that effect. So you're still dealing really good damage usually.
Where do we want to rate it then? Because when we place this, I have to step away for a sec, but
well, I've already said where I want it placed. I don't know
S?
if you will argue with that.
Where was it? Was it S?
Expose is crazy good. I will put it in S because I use it constantly.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can put it there personally. I mean, I might give you A. S?
I would say S, but if you really, really wanted an A, it pains me to see it there because in my heart I'm like, this skill is just so good. Like if to anyone watching this video, if you have never played with Expose, do it now. Like stop what you are doing, use Expose.
I'm gonna put it in S for two reasons. One, I like you. You're a cool dude. I'll put it in S. The other, I want to see if I can bait the people that just skip to the end and they see this and they go, Expose is an S, and I want to bait them into the comment.
They'll have to watch the entire video to see when we discussed it.
Exactly. Picking it back up with the Captivate, just like this video is captivating the viewers. It's amazing. This move,
yeah,
I don't... Sorry, go ahead.
It's captivating us. We totally haven't had to walk away like ourselves during this time.
I know. I think the previous two videos, it's just kind of been like one shot, maybe a bathroom break, but this one's been such a journey going through 6 characters that a lot of up and down, couple breaks.
It's the longest one.
It is, and I'm probably gonna leave it all as one piece. I'm not gonna break it up, so they can all deal. But yeah, Captivate. So... This is one I admittedly don't use that much, but there's not really a reason for it. It's not like a bad move by any means. It looks good. You know, it's got decent damage. Yeah, okay, you know what accuracy. This is?
Slice off. It's slice off but blight.
You know what? I didn't consider that. Maybe that's why my brain never put it together. But yeah, it is slice off. I think what stops me is that Shieldbreaker is so mobile, and this is like the one move she doesn't move with, and it feels weird.
Yeah, there are definitely some times where you don't want to move in case you know, moving would disrupt a really good play, or maybe she went before Highwaymen when you're trying to juggle around moves, so you just want to stay there. But this move, it has a lot of text on it, but it doesn't really particularly do anything that interesting. Just a bog standard blight attack. Yeah, it does bonus damage versus marked, but are you really running Shieldbreaker with a mark team?
True. That does feel kind of tacked on because I don't know, it's like one mark synergy thing, and she doesn't really play that well with some of the other mark characters, I feel like. I mean, she can work with them, but Doesn't
Is this
synergize as
support
much.
for her plus damage versus marked trinket?
Oh, that I don't even want to talk about that thing. I hate this thing so much.
It's one
Like,
of the worst trinkets in the game.
yeah,
It's made it to my top 10 trinkets, worst trinkets of all time list.
it's bad. You want to know what else irritates me to no end? Gotta go back to Hellion for this one. Is spear tip on Hellion's thing. Wait, sharpened spear, where is it? There's another instance of spear tip. I think no, it's spectral spear tip.
Yeah, spectral spear tip.
It's one word here, but then it's 2 words on this one.
Oh, somebody at Red Hook messed up.
They did. And for some unholy reason, it bugs me to no end, to where years later I still talk about it.
Well, now you have unleashed cursed knowledge upon the world. Everyone will notice now.
Okay, I got one better. If you ever played Darkest Dungeon 2 and you go to the Fetter, look at the goats. They're constantly pooping.
Yeah, gross.
There's your I wish I could unsee it moment.
I've got one, but it's about DD1 and it's not particularly appropriate.
Okay. Thank you for not getting my channel taken down.
I'll save that. Yeah, we don't want to demonetize this video 3 hours in.
I'll have to ask afterwards because I need the forbidden knowledge.
All right, but yeah, this move is it's on Shieldbreaker, a unit that has like a million other moves that outshine it.
Honestly, yeah, it's not that the move itself is inherently bad or unusable. It's just this character has 6 other buttons that are better.
Yeah. 2 of them debatably completely broken.
Yeah. This. With, like, you have a fair move. You have a fair move on your pay-to-win character. Get this out of here.
Yeah.
I banish thee. I'm kidding. It's not there, but...
It's probably just C tier, because it's Slice Off, but Blight.
That's fair. It even kind of looks like it, right? Like, you got the hook, then you got, like, the 2 hooks. Oh, it's a snake.
Yeah.
It's like a coiled snake. Never mind.
What, you didn't see that? I was gonna make a joke about, oh yeah, Jester just tied a snake to his sickle. That's how he gets it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Just shows you I never looked at these icons close enough. But yeah. Okay.
Gotta do that zoom in again.
No, I don't have the strength to do that. That took a lot of power.
Yeah.
I do have the strength to click this though.
Serpent Sway. It's a very odd move.
It is, and you get the cheater tokens, aka Aegis.
Yeah, this is a very bizarre move. There's really no correct way to like rate it because it gives speed, yeah. It gives 2 blocks, which no other skill in the game does. And yeah, it's this is the most out of place skill in Darkest Dungeon. Like, this feels like a Darkest Dungeon 2 skill.
In a lot of ways, it is. Like, I don't know how much you follow, you know, Red Hook when they do interviews and stuff, but one of the things they talked about with Shieldbreaker is, in a lot of ways, she was kind of a Darkest Dungeon 2 precursor. So, like, she has the Nightmares, which are kind of like the alpha build of the Hero Shrines. You know, she gets block, which later on became block tokens. So she kind of prototypes some stuff. And because of that,
thought that Butcher's Circus was.
Yeah, that too. BC was kind of the same feel for a lot of reasons. And so with Serpent Sway, it feels out of place because it's like nothing else. You know, it's like it's kind of the innovator for a new mechanic, which is blocking.
Yeah, BC tips me off because it's got, like, you know, Antiquarian's Festering hits all characters. You get minus death blow resist on the hit. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And this isn't DD2 though, this is DD1. And Serpent Sway is kind of good at helping her survive, but I mean, if she gets focused by you know, she gets ticked off by like a mark skill that does 1 damage and doesn't really help her that much.
One of the, I guess, balancing factors, but also one of the annoying things about blocking is that any instance of damage will take it off, and effects will bypass it. So you may block all the damage from a hit that bleeds you, but you'll still bleed. So timing this can be pretty difficult for a lot of players, because it's like you have to know what the monster's doing, what you might get hit by, and if block's even worth doing. But if you can line all that up, then the blocks are pretty nice.
Yeah, there's very few feelings better than blocking like a huge crit attack, just seeing negated. You still take the stress, of course, but yeah.
Go ahead and block a tree branch smackdown, and you're gonna feel all kinds of dopamine. If you've been depressed for 14 years, or however long, boom, it's gone right there. At least for about 6 seconds.
Thank you, my therapist.
I've been feeling really down lately. Well, okay, well, let's talk about some coping skills. Go play Darkest Dungeon. Go block a crit. That'll be, I don't know, $200.
More coping skills from Darkest Dungeon. Complain on Reddit that you're, leper bad.
Oh yeah. I was gonna try and allude to that when we did leper, the leper miss leper bad memes, but you know what? Okay, that was 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Actually,
that was 3 hours ago.
Yep. Damn. Okay, this move. I like this move. I don't think it's like game breaking or anything, but I feel like it's a solid B.
It does what it does. I feel like Shieldbreaker wants to attack more, but I guess if she needs to survive, she can do this. I don't know. My builds revolve around her having like 25% protection constantly, so I don't regularly hit this.
Fair, yeah. And you can argue that when she gets her armor, she doesn't need this as much. It's her big piece of HP.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I like it. Where do you want to put it?
I'd put it in C myself, but if you want to put it in B, then I see the merit behind putting it in B. Like, the blocking a big hit is very good. The only problem is you can't exactly control what's a big hit. This is
Okay,
the taunt doesn't exist.
It doesn't, but I do have one more counterpoint. The letter B begins the word block.
All right, you've convinced me. A tier.
Wait, what?
No, B is fine.
Mainly,
right.
I just want to get to Vestal.
Yes, Vestal, the only character that you can ever run in the game. If you don't run her, then your team just can't survive.
He has to be on every team. How do you beat the game without Vestal? And of course, the Jestel combo. No one has ever beaten Darkest Dungeon without Jestel.
That's true. Literally never happened before. If you have any sources, you're lying. Not just to me, but to yourself.
Oh god. That was good. Mace Bash. Why does this have unholy damage? Who cares?
Mace Bash. It's a melee hit for a unit that wants to be in the back line. She doesn't have good damage.
Oh man. Like, we start getting into stats. One of the reasons I hate even considering her as like a damage option, if you try and do stuff like Hand of Light, Mace Bash, whatever, it's because, like, yeah, she's got low damage, but also her crit is atrocious. Like, it feels so bad, dude.
Yeah, 9 crit max level.
Yeah, like, this needs crit. I don't understand, man. Like, if I did any kind of balancing in this game, like, per character, I would give Vestal crit. Because crit doesn't, like, crit bonuses don't affect, healing. Like, if she had 30 base crit, that wouldn't matter. So why not? Let her bop stuff.
Things with 30 crit rate are very balanced usually.
Look, man, she's not going to be doing lunge numbers or bleed out, okay? Sniper shot.
I was alluding to a certain boss from DD2. But yeah, like, yeah, you'd think that, oh yeah, crit tokens from DD2 would work really good with this, and like, since DD2 does away with base damage, it just doesn't exist, they could give this like an actually good damage number. And then they did that, except they forgot to give it a good damage number in DD2 as well, so Mace Bash has never been anything more than a total meme.
True. Even though Bonk Vestal is affectionately remembered by the community. Not stellar. I mean, is this even a C tier in terms of like hitting stuff?
You know what? I'd say this is unusable.
Damn! Let's do it. Hell yeah.
She wants to be in the back line. Like, at least Antiquarian's Nervous Stab can be used from anywhere. And hit rank 3. This can't do either of those things.
True. Like, she doesn't have the stats that are good enough for a frontliner. Even though, like, Occultist has less HP, but you know what? He can stun with an insane stun. Vestal...
Oh, yeah, also... I almost forgot, Vestal has a trinket that buffs damage and crit for melee skills, and it's still really bad.
And like, she's balanced around Profane, or if you run the CC set, like... And, like, running the CC set is... People go, oh, I need to make a build to, you know, make use of the melee damage and stuff. Like, no, you don't. You just stuff her in the back, and you use the stun chance. If you want to use both of them. You don't care about this at all.
In fact, the Atonement Beads would be better if they did nothing for that, because you lose all your Virtue chance, pretty much, which, sure, it doesn't matter in the long scheme, like, you don't plan around it, but, you know, if something goes bad and you roll, you have to roll for Affliction, having a chance at getting Virtue is a whole lot better than not having any.
True. I mean, Profane, it's weird that the CC set, or like the Atonement Beads, I should say, is worse than Profane, which has been in the game. Crazy.
Yeah, at least it gives you protection.
I mean, this thing's okay. Like, if she had more crit, like, you can do this in, like, Focus Ring, and that kind of covers a lot of bases. But it's not amazing.
You still probably wouldn't be running Mace Bash.
Honestly, yeah. So, Mace Bash, meme tier. Judgments? I know you're talking about new players.
Judgment is 85? I could have sworn that Judgment had 80. Maybe they changed that in an update, because I swear Judgment used to have 80.
It actually got hotfixed 2 days ago.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm not keeping up to date with the Darkest Dungeon news of the game that still totally gets updated and wasn't abandoned after Butcher's Circus.
It was abandoned before Butcher's Circus. They outsourced Butcher's Circus and then moved on.
Yeah, it's very true.
God, I hope that was bad. I hope the not what I said. I don't care about what I said.
I hope they get back to balancing that once they're done some more work in DD2.
Yeah.
But yeah, this move. It looks good, but it's kind of a noob trap.
You have to explain this because I have fond feelings for this move. It's one of my favorites.
So most people, when they see this, they're like, okay, yeah, it heals the Vestal, so that's good. If the Vestal is damaged, I can do this to heal. The thing is, Vestal frequently does not run accuracy trinkets, meaning that if you want to land a heal for her with this skill, you actually have to land the hit itself, which, there's a good chance of you missing, and you do not want to miss heals in this game. And half the time that isn't even the case, because Vestal stays in the back rank where, yeah, you take less damage in the back rank, and Vestal is kind of tanky on her own regard. Not in case of, like, protection, but she has, like, 40 health or something. It's a decent amount for a backliner. And usually Vestal just heals herself with Divine Comfort regardless. So, yeah. This move is kind of unnecessary. And you're better off hitting one of her other attacks if you want to actually progress the fight.
That hurt my soul. I hope that the light passes judgment on yours.
The light has already burned away all feeling. So what's this layout of this skill? Why are the columns not aligned?
I don't know. Get on it, Wiki team. But yeah, this is, anecdotal, but in my experience, I actually don't have, like, the new players I talk to, they don't usually say that they use this instead of just healing themselves. I usually have to talk them into using it for, a different reason, but they just go, oh, I can just heal myself. Why not do that? But a lot of the times, Vessel's really good at keeping people healthy, so he doesn't really need to heal herself or, drop comfort every single turn. You can. Is this better than Dazzling Light? Hell no. Is this better than the 2 heals? No, it's not. But better than Mace Bash? Mace Bash? Yes. Is it better than Hand of Light? I mean, you're not in rank 2, so yes. Is it better than Illumination? That's what it's competing with. Or if you're in rank 4. Is it better than Illumination? I would say it is, personally.
Yeah, probably.
So in a lot of cases, to me, it's usually just on there by default, because it's like, those are the 4 moves you get if you're in 3 or 4. Yeah. My argument for using it isn't so much that, yeah, it heals Vestal too. That is a nice thing. And there's some benefits to that. Like, you roll 2 crits, essentially. You roll the on-hit crit, then the heal crit. So, if both of them crit, if you're really lucky, this heals like 10 stress, which is funny. But, the reason I think of it so highly is because it really helps in this game if everyone can chip in on damage. This doesn't do a lot of damage. The accuracy is trash. But, like, if you, hit that Cultist Switch for 5 damage, 6 damage, or whatever, I mean, that can help. And then you get some other benefits on top of it if you don't need to stun or heal that turn. It's not the best move, but it has a lot going for it. So, I personally like it.
I run this move, but that's just because I run Vestal in rank 4, where, as you said, you have like 4 moves that even work in that rank, sadly. So, it does get moved, or does get used, but usually I only ever use it against enemies that have like a stun resist buff from recovering from stun.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say too with this is, it's kind of like the Occultist scenario, where you're not trying to use this to heal to get yourself off Death's Door, because you might miss, and then you die. So this is just good to keep her kind of healthy mid-fight if you don't need to use comfort. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I just don't see that situation happening much, because very rarely does the unit in rank 4/3 get focused down.
Okay. Then the other thing that... God, I had one more point that I wanted to make. Oh! This is something I slept on. One of the viewers told me about it, but Ancestor Pistol with Vestal, kind of cool. So you can get some good accuracy usage, but that's super late game.
Yeah, I sometimes run Vestal with Prophet's Eye, which is basically the pistol, but you take less stress instead of gaining stress. So, yeah, the only downside is being in rank 4, but it's fine.
I just don't want you to put it in D. My heart couldn't take it.
No, okay, no, it's not D, because it does something. It is an attack. Like, it's nowhere near as bad as like Blind Fire or Slam. Like, it actually progresses the fight. It has somewhat average crit rate as well, so maybe you can fish for a crit and get a better heal later on.
I mean, it probably is C, if you got no objections.
Yeah, I'll put it in C. C gets its third column here.
I love this move, man. Bro. The affectionate tempo zap. It has a place in my heart.
Yeah, you want to talk about a real good Vestal attack? Well, here we go. Dazzling Light.
Oh man, a stun is good in this game? Holy crap.
Unheard of. Yeah, a stun that gives you more torch, which is you know, it's not that much of gold when you think about it if you're buying torches, but it's got decent enough accuracy. It's got a good crit mod. It does only 25% damage, but that doesn't matter. It still can crit. And yeah, as you said, it's a stun. And it can be used in rank 2.
Yeah, the rank 2 Vestal build, even though Mace Bash, sucks, is pretty fun because you get to use a fun trinket in Profane Scroll because it's really loaded on stats. But you also get Dazzling Light and you get Comfort, and then you can, run some other stuff. And that's cool. It's a fun way to do Vestal, even if it's not like the best. And it's mostly because Dazzling Light and Comfort are so good.
Yeah, some people say, oh, the Profane Scroll is specifically support for Mace Bash, and I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. Dazzling Light is still the only move you're going to be really using to attack.
Honestly, the times I have tried to use rank 2 Vestal, like I've made teams for it, theory crafted, whatever you want to say, and I'll go, okay, I'm gonna like charge up Hand of Light for 1 or 2 turns, when do I get the most optimal damage? And then the fight starts and I just hit freaking Dazzling Light.
Yeah. It's usually the best button.
It is, it's so dumb.
Like, people run the Crimson Court set just to gain more stun chance. Yes. They run the beads just to buff this skill.
And it's way better than Hands from the Abyss because it gives you Torch instead of removes it.
I wouldn't say it's way better, but it's a balance. You can run both of them. They both can hit up to rank 3.
Yeah, and the enemy can't move.
Is this Red Hook subliminally making us want to ship Vestal and Occultists? I hope not.
It might, because, one worships the light, one worships the darkness. Vestal's technically the breadwinner in the relationship because she gets one more torch than Occultist, so she's always like a positive,
Vestal is sexually repressed, Occultist has tentacles. It's a perfect match.
That's minus pips.
What's red and bad for your teeth? A brick.
Alright, that's plus pips.
Okay, back to positive.
We're neutral.
You keep saying that. Someone's gonna keep track of these jokes that we've been saying throughout these series, and be like, "Well, wonder what they are now."
I know. It's like, you guys ended it +2. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, tumultuous.
Oh man. Okay. I think this move's
yeah,
good.
Plot twist. We've been in the we've been in the Hag's Cauldron this entire time.
Oh my god, man! There was someone who I forget where, it's like Reddit or something, or it might have been DD Core, but they said, "How did I get this negative affinity?" Like they try to go through their quirks and stuff, and my first thought was like, "Were you in Hag's Cauldron?" Could have been.
I rolled a 5% negative affinity when I had a 70% positive one.
Dude, that's so tilting.
And I was on a 13 relationship between them as well.
Should have got that 14. Play better. Shit.
Yeah, I would have been better if the boxing gloves worked out for me. Back to DD1. Illumination, probably...
At least A, I would say.
Yeah, it's A. It's probably the most flexible stun.
Yeah, I mean, we put Manacles up here, and it's better than that.
No, I wouldn't say so, because Manacles has more stun chance with support. Vestal has, the Crimson Court set, that's it.
I mean, I guess. I like that Manacles hits a bit harder.
That's true. Abomination damage is kind of nutty.
I mean, it's good there. It's good. Divine Grace.
It's a big heal. That's about it. It's all she wrote.
Yeah, it's like... I don't think it's that good. It's okay. I mean,
but Vestal has the most healing skill support, so just keep that in mind.
She does, but in a lot of cases, I would say that any healing gained out of this move, you could stun and prevent it instead. But I guess that's true of every heal for the most part. But I think what would change that line of thought too is that Vestal has a stun. So like it's either I Dazzling Light or I Divine Grace.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's just a mixture of the two. Sometimes you stun a unit, they go on stun cooldown essentially, and then you heal.
Fair. I mean,
also it's better at the end of the fight too.
True. Like if you're stalling, you know, Vestal can help you stall, but she's usually the one you're stalling for. Yeah,
She is a bit slow.
Where do we? I mean, it's like comparable to Weird, though. At least
it is definitely more consistent. Like the thing is, it's good. It's just boring. It's just heals. It pains me to say this on such a boring skill, but it is probably just B tier.
That's fair. Better than Battle Heal. It's very boring.
Yeah. Shortest segment.
Yeah. Comfort. I mean, is it S? Is there a reason it isn't?
There's no argument to why it isn't S. It can be used in any rank but 1. It heals 4 to 5 baseline. That's at least 16 total healing. Like half the bosses are balanced around the fact that you can just Divine Comfort. That's why they all hit AoE.
Dude,
not all of them, but
I don't know if you watched my video talking about DD2 bosses. I legit think that's why they kind of ramped up the AoEs in DD2. It's because Comfort isn't like omnipresent.
Yeah, I did watch the video. I commented on it.
Oh, that's right. Sorry,
liked it. Yeah, I talked about how Sleeper isn't that dangerous because it doesn't actually kill your heroes.
Just sets them up to die in like an hour.
And no, I'm talking like even if they does land a death blow, they just come back like in a week's time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Divine Comfort is it's overpowered. Just slap on a plus healing trinket and Vestal can outdo most damage in the game. As long as you're not just constantly going against 4 enemies. As long as you're making progress, Vestal supports you.
My one negative to Comfort that doesn't even change anything we're talking about is that it actually kind of sucks at 1. The fact it can roll 1 to heal with is so pitiful.
It's better than it was before. It used to be 1 to 2 at base.
Ew.
It was still really good though, because you could roll 8. Yeah.
They buffed Comfort? What were they thinking? It was still S without that.
I think it used to be 3 to 3 at max level for a while though. So
you know what? I do remember that. It was lower.
Yeah.
Illumination. It's not bad at the start because that's minus 20 dodge. More than Occultist, I think. Like minus 15.
He had minus 20 at max level.
Goes up to 30, so it's pretty good for that. A little bit of Torch. It can hit rank 4 as a D-Stealth, which is surprisingly rare. That makes it pretty good for that, but she's also slow. You
get 10 Torch at max level, which is nothing to scoff at.
That's, what do you lose in a hallway? Like 24 normally? It's like 4 tiles?
At base difficulty, it's 6 points per, like, little room, and most of them have 4. I know the Warrens has 3. The wheels can have like up to 7 sometimes, I think.
Yeah, which thanks, Red Hook. So this, I mean, I'm saying a lot of positive things, but I don't use this. I really don't think it's that good. It's not bad. Like, it's not better than
you can't use
the big
it in 4. Yeah. The best slot for a character to be in, rank 4. Where can you use this? Anywhere but there. And you can hit anywhere, but it's not important. That's like... It's like how If It Bleeds on Hellion in DD2 can't be used from rank 1. Like, you wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But how does it go then? I see. Is it D?
Now, the thing about this move is it does a whole bunch of things, but half of them don't matter because you just don't want to be in a slot where you use them, and it has to compete with Illumination, which also gives Torch. And Vestal really doesn't have debuff support aside of the set. Vestal really doesn't have support for anything aside from
Except
the Crimson
healing.
Court set. Yeah, she can heal, and that's it. She has trinkets that give her Virtue Chance and HP and the Profane Scroll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Haste Chalice, I forget, because nobody uses it because it's garbage.
They don't. My voice, I do not have enough vocal capacity left to go on a rant about Sacred Scroll, so I can't.
Would you like me to do it for you?
Go ahead, I'm gonna sip some water and recover.
Alright, so Sacred Scroll is a trap trinket because, yes, while it does give extra healing skills, which can be very good for Vestal considering she's a primary healer, she's like the primary healer of the game, and it reduces the amount of stress she receives passively, like overall, not just like from skills from hallways as well, it like rounds down to 2 usually. The fact that you kill any viability she has of being a damage dealer with the minus 33% damage, and you even lose stun chance, which is, like, as we've said before, stunning is one of the best things you can possibly do in the game to prevent an enemy from, hindering you, or just comboing you in some way, or inconveniencing you through stress or other means, debuffs. You lose stun skill chance, which you want to be usually as high as possible, which you'll see many people run things like Dazzling Charms, which give plus 10% stun skill chance, which doesn't sound like much, but every bit counts when the difference between stunning and not stunning is an entire unit's movement. That little bit is very important. That's why you want to keep it as high as possible. Is that good enough for you?
Amazing. 100% right. There's no counter argument. Take the L.
Yeah, take the L. L stands for leper, which means that you should use him more.
True. Touch grass. Alright. No maidens. Illumination.
Illumination. Probably D, actually.
Good with it. Should there be any discussion about Handle Light? Should we just like go, yeah, it's C or whatever, and just end?
Well, I mean, the accuracy is good, I guess, and you don't need to hit to gain the buff.
That is.
But that's about it, really. Is it worth being in rank 2?
I mean, if you're into, then have it. I kind of wish this gave crit. Like, Vestal doesn't have really good base damage.
Yeah, why does this do bonus damage for Unholy as well, when it's like, it's not a damage move, it has minus 50 damage modifier.
Yeah, you get the 50% damage on like a 3 damage hit. There you go. Or no, you get 35% damage. It's even worse. But the other thing too is like you usually trinket for accuracy. So this doesn't do as well later on. And her base damage is low. You're already in rank 2. I don't know. It's not bad. Like, the numbers are good.
This move would be good on a character who actually had better stats.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Leper? Leper wouldn't mind this.
Like
do 50% of Leper's damage and then get a buff.
You can compare this to Toe-to-Toe from Darkest Dungeon 2, how it indirectly buffs your damage from, like, removing your winded tokens. It increases your accuracy by removing, like any blind you may have, or removing an opponent's dodge token. And it has garbage damage, but you use it anyway.
Toe-to-Toe is so good. Like, it's all those things. And, you taunt yourself, where if the enemy just does some more damage, you might trigger your low health passive for more damage.
Yeah, you see, this move isn't bad if it were on a better character for this, but no, you have Vestal damage, and the only benefit you get from this is using Mace Bash, which is not good.
Oh man, you don't know the hidden tech. You Handle Light, and then you dance someone in front of Vestal, and then you get this fat judgment.
Unfortunately, that's like, you know what? If you can do a good build, send that to me, and I'll rate it, or I don't know, Shuffle will react to it. You don't do Darkest Dungeon 1 reaction videos anymore, do you, from the community?
No, but maybe I should. People haven't asked me about it. People asked me about DD2, and then like I kind of got set up for it, and then I just didn't, and then no one asked me. So.
What, you don't want to watch a whole 3-hour Darkest Dungeon 2 run?
No, I told people if they're gonna do that to send me just like clips, like boss fights.
Alright. Well, so yeah, long story short, Hand of Light isn't very good.
Is it unusable?
I wouldn't say it's unusable because accuracy is a good stat to have, but that's kind of all it does. This is definitely a DD2 move, but it's not good in DD2 either. They made it worse somehow.
I know it's the worst move on the bar for her, which is crazy. And like people try to defend it too. They go, "Oh, you know the paths make it cool, and this and that," and it's like it's just bad. It's just bad.
You can chip off dodge and block tokens. Yeah, so can any other attack.
True. Get 2 of them. Oh my god, you're coping. I mean, is it higher than D? No, right?
No, because it just doesn't do anything other than that. Like, what are you buffing? Mace Bash? No, you're not. Don't lie.
You're buffing your next Hand of Light, and you just spam it endlessly.
Yeah, and if you wanted to do that, you'd use Rake.
True. Right.
That's it. Hey, we have a neat 10 in S tier, so we have the top 10 skills of the game.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Don't even have to like make a separate thing. We have 10, and then we have 3 unusable. How many are in the? We got 12 in the D.
Yeah, we got 19A.
Pretty solid, I would say. Like I was saying before, most of them are in the middle.
Yeah,
Technically
nice.
A2 if you want to count the like these two as being the extreme.
So let's take one last look. Are there any skills you think should be changed throughout this list? Specifically the ones we did early on before we get a good grasp of all the other skills.
Take as much time as you need to. I can speed this up. Speed up the thinking process. Think at 1,000 times speed.
Yeah, we can just jump cut. Hmm.
Talk so much about finish him, I almost want to move it just because of the reach.
Yeah, I could see that actually. I mean, the reach is pretty good. Probably like unbalance everything by like saying like, "Oh, is it better than finish him?" It's like, yes, and it's like, okay, it goes to B. But
yeah, we use that a few times.
I do think it probably is good enough. Like the only reason that we put it that low is because it's not as good as a collect bounty, usually. But yeah, it probably does deserve to be in B actually. I think it's actually the strongest move outside of like Shield Breaker that hits rank 3.
I mean, directly, maybe. What about if it bleeds?
It's not direct damage, and it can fail. I mean, if it bleeds is in B as well.
Yeah. Put tracking shot in B. I mean, the numbers are good.
Yeah, tracking shot is really good. It's just once at the start of combat and then into the riposte, or the other way around. I looked back at an old Butcher Circus tier list I made, and I put flashing daggers in A, and I'm like, what the hell? What was I thinking?
Are you doing some competitive vaping?
I have no idea. PvP vaping, yeah. It's just the antiquary mirror match.
Oh, nothing's. In terms of moving stuff up, the only thing that really jumped out to me was that. Moving stuff down, I'm not sure. The antiquarian stuff. I agree with Duelist Advance. Sure. Target whistle, of course. Then an A. I kind of like a lot of the A placements.
Yeah, it seems pretty solid. Seems like we did a good job the first go around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the only change we need to do is put finish him in B.
You're ready, I'll close it out here.
Alright.
So we spent several minutes discussing, debating, bringing up academic journals to debate each other.
Name calling. Insulting beliefs.
Yep. Start talking about all the fallacies you're using, you know, ad hoc fallacy and stuff like that. So the decision we came to, and there are many of them, and that's that finish him should go up to B.
Let's put it next to collect bounty. Of
they're
with
friends,
his friend there.
They've been there the whole
cool
time.
Skull. Yeah, that seems about it. We've agreed on everything here except for expose, but still.
I mean, yeah, expose, but there's also some other things, you know, like I got to upsell Holy Lance. I remember that. There's some that were like unanimous picks, like Exsanguinate, Battle Ballad, stuff like that, but overall I'm happy with it.
You heard it here, folks. Use only those skills in S tier, otherwise you're not playing the game right.
I know, if you don't do what we say for this single player game, that you aren't playing competitively, that no one will most likely see you play because you're not a streamer or something like that, then you're doing it wrong and you're not having fun.
Yeah, let us have fun for you instead.
Yep. Oh man, I feel like a true Redditor.
True. I think my neckbeard just grew 3 sizes this day.
Probably a medical issue. You should get that checked.
Well, thanks for the advice, kind stranger.
Whew. Well, it was definitely fun. Barton's idea, so thank you for reaching out, trying to set it up. Took a couple months.
Thank you for hosting me on your lovely channel and taking up your precious time for this about 7-hour-long mission.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I wouldn't have done it if I don't think it would have been enjoyable for at least one other person. It's all good. I'm just tired now. My voice is all worn out.
Yeah. Don't worry, you'll be back to streaming soon, and then you'll have to do all the talking.
Yeah, but it's okay. Completely and utterly all the thank yous in the world. We'll link Spartan stuff below too, of course. Like some fun stuff you should check out. And I am going to cook dinner. That's what I'm doing.
I might make lunch myself.
Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Might see you again at some points. Let us know what you're thinking down below in the comments, where you want to put stuff. The longer your post, the less likely it is to be read. I'm kidding.
If you never want to see me again, make sure to write that in the comments. Please complain about how I've ruined the channel.
Get me there and be like, oh, Spartan's so much better. Hand him the keys, tell him the password, log in.
His voice, it's so masculine and pleasant to listen to.
Because the Australian accent's so amazing, that's why. And I'm not even joking. People are like, oh damn, that's cool. I like listening to that.
Oh yeah, mate. I'll try a shrimp on the barbie for you next time.
God, that somehow sounds less Australian coming from an Australian.
Ah, yes.
It's so cartoonish.
Yeah, that's the end of the video. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much.